smartphone. https://meet.goto.com/town of Sturbridge/conservation. In order to call in, 1-646-749-3122. The access code is 819-169-093. Please remain mute at all times except when speaking. Okay, we've got a call to order, and we have, starting, Eric
Gaspar, present.
San Germano present.
Ed Goodwin present.
Carsten Stieber present.
Okay, go ahead. You want
Should
to
I
read?
read this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area and/or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge wetland bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to opening the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
All right. As far as Barnacles walk-ins, we don't have anything for Barnacles
Unless there's
walk-ins.
anyone that didn't let me know.
Do you have any announcements?
No announcements at this time.
All right. So we can go right to our public hearings. We are on 6 o'clock. Public hearing for the request for determination of applicability for 288B Clark Road extension. Applicant is John Mastriani. SEC file number is 25-43. Project proposed install a staircase from the road. Anybody here for that? You're up. Right there. Yeah.
Just name and address for the record, please.
I'm Luke Mastriani. I'm John's son,
Yep.
288B, Clark Road Extension. And Ed and Lauren came out and visited the site. In the time between then and now, I've come up with a less impact solution, which is an aluminum staircase. I have a picture of what we're planning on doing. This is
Okay.
prefabbed off-site, and it's just dropped in place, and it has adjustable legs. It doesn't have any impact on the ground, and it has no environmental impact. It can be removed at any time.
How do they hold it down?
Weight, it takes about 4 or 5 guys to,
Oh, it's heavy?
it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's essentially, it's made by a dock building company for applications like these. That was the original design. We were planning on doing something out of wood, then found this to be adjustable over time. If we have to level it with legs, it's just a couple bolts and we can readjust. And again, if we decide to bring the land back to raw land, we can do that in an afternoon.
All right.
Do we even need,
What is
that
it
sounds like
secured
it's not a
to?
permanent structure.
Well, we were going to build something,
Yeah.
and then just to make sure that everybody's on the same page and we're all in good standing, that's why we arranged for today's meeting.
Appreciate that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, do we even have to go over
Well, it's not going to be taken up in the winter, right? It's permanent.
No, it's going to be stored where it sits. We just want to make sure we've had, on the lake, as you know, we have, neighbors want to know what's going on, and neighbors want to be included, so we gave them that opportunity, and we want to make sure everybody in town and everybody on the lake knows that this is what we're doing.
Right.
So the legs will just sit on the existing slope, they're not gonna...
Yeah, you can see, this is a picture
How do they
of
not
one in place.
slide?
They have a little bit of a tooth groove
Can I keep this one for?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I have another that's like a standing example of what it looks like on pavement. Yep.
And Eric, to your question, if it's not going to be removed, we could consider it a semi-permanent, since it can easily be removed. But,
My only concern is if we start taking positions and voting on stuff that isn't
Right.
really fully in our purview, it sets precedent for other things down the road. So,
Agreed.
I mean, if it's procedurally proper for us to do so, I don't have a problem doing it, but if it's doesn't need to be voted on, and it wouldn't seem to me something like that would be no different in my eyes than a boat rack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A boat rack would sit there the entire year, but it would just sit on top, and not be fastened to anything, so. But, I mean,
But the
I'm not,
The
I'm gonna
issue-
vote yes, or just.
you
take
could
no-
do a positive determination if it's as invalid and just for the record issue a bylaw letter, but
Oh, we've got it here.
further
before.
discussion, it's already been done and the
Yeah.
fees were already done. He
Yeah,
already
it's like a
did
canoe
the
rack.
expense of the abutter notification, so we may as well.
We wouldn't permit a canoe rack, you know?
But it's a structure within a 25-foot.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be further back. It's on the roadside.
That's within the 50 and the 100, right?
So which zone are we in?
It's on, yeah, it's on that side right there, Lauren.
So it's slightly within the 100.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead with it the way we have it
Okay.
here. All right.
Okay.
Questions? Any further questions?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right.
With regards to the project at 288B Clark Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under SEC file number 25-43 for the installation of a temporary or a
Semi-permanent.
semi-permanent staircase
Which at this point, I just recommend with no conditions.
with no conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, 2 seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar abstains.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right. Alrighty, so now do we want to do this any more
Just
than
to
that?
clarify, you made the motion but then abstained from the motion in the roll call?
I can make a motion and then abstain from the vote.
Just clarifying.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with the project, I just don't know that it needs to be voted on, so
Understood.
I'm just abstaining from the vote in general. I don't have a problem with it, it's fine.
Understood.
All right, so need a motion on the town bylaw? No, we're all set?
We only have one vote, he's good.
That's good.
Thank you very much.
Normally you have to do 3 of these, and
Right.
this is a simple one.
Take her to someplace nice.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Luke, take her to someplace nice now.
Yeah,
We'll see you.
you too. Take care. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, 6:10. Open the public hearing for the request for determination of applicability for 37 Finley Road. The applicant, Norman and Barbara Kalber. Representative is Mark Farrell, Green Hill Engineering. SEC file 25-50, proposed project, septic replacement. Do we have anyone representing? We don't.
No. I had talked to Market to see if he wanted to continue this. Wasn't a verified continuance,
Yeah.
but with the inability to be able to do the site inspection. I didn't, it's unclear to me if he was planning on attending tonight. Maybe we can temporarily table it or just
Yeah.
request a continuance, and then if we need to just reopen it later if he comes in, that way we don't forget it, because I think we
Anybody
did
on the
that.
board have a problem with that, if we just
No, there's
temporary?
no problem continuing it.
No, let's just do the, make the
just
motion to
vote if we can-
continue and,
We can get him on before the board tonight. We would.
he doesn't
So
have,
let's-
yeah, he doesn't have anything else for,
What?
on, he doesn't have anything else on tonight's agenda.
Yeah, but he could be late,
Right.
yeah.
I just don't want to forget it. So I'll make a note that we, unless you want to make the motion, we'll,
Make a motion to table the public hearing on
Yeah.
37 Finlay Road until later in the agenda.
Got it.
Second.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Good. All right.
Look at that, we're already ahead. Good job, guys.
Far ahead.
Allison. Good.
Hold up.
do you want to hop around?
What do you got?
All of the certificates of compliance are going to be continued since we weren't able
What
to
numbers are we
perform.
talking? We're talking,
Starting at 17.
17.
So if you want to just jump down.
17.
And I'm gonna apologize, my detail doesn't have page numbers, and I noticed that today, so. If you wanna
That's all right. We're good.
hop down to those, and
Yeah.
for each one, just, a motion to table each one to the
Yep.
March 13th meeting.
So 17 to 24?
17
All right,
to
17, 339 The
23.
Trail. Request for a certificate of compliance, and we're tabling it?
Can we do a sweeping motion, or do we need to do them all individually?
I'd rather you do them individually. You have some time to kill
Yeah,
anyways.
that's fine. With regards to DEP file number 300-536, 339 The Trail, I'd like to make a motion to table this discussion until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
And
18,
18 we'll actually wait on because 88, 86, 88 South Shore is on tonight's agenda, and my recommendation is not to issue anything until an order of conditions has been issued for that other project, so we'll go back to that one.
all right, we're on
We'll go
89
to
lead mine
19,
then?
Correct.
Yep, 89 lead mine, request certificate of compliance, 300-1073.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1073, 89 Lead Mine Road, I'd like to make a motion to table the discussion on this item until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Okay, 6 Picker Road. Request for a certificate of compliance, 300-1062.
With regards to the project, DEP file number 300-1062 at 6 Picker Road, I'd like to make a motion to table the discussion on this until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
8 Picker Road, request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-1066.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1066, 8 Picker Road, I'd like to make a motion to table the discussion until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right, we are on to 12 Tantascwa Shore Drive, request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-1076.
10, no, this is a
1002.
1002.
There's 2 for 12 Tantascwa,
Oh.
2 file numbers.
Oh, okay.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1002, 12 Tantascwa
Oh, I
Shore
missed
Drive,
it. Sorry about that.
I'd like to make a motion that we table the discussion until March 13th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sandra Mann in favor.
Ed Gooder in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Let me try it again. 12 Tantascwa Shore Drive, request for a certificate of compliance, DP file number dash 1076.
With regards to the EP file number 300-1076, 12 Tasco Shore Drive, I'd like to make a motion to table the discussion until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Lasse Stuber in favor.
All right, South Central Mass NEMBA Adventure Ride, are they here?
They will not be here until 7.
Okay, so we'll hold off on
So 24 and 25, hold off.
24 and 25.
Okay, got a couple minutes.
Anything else? We're now at,
You can do minutes.
yeah,
Minutes, there was the one from July that we have
June
to-
20,
June 20.
and that was an executive session one. There's another one too, but that
should've
one
just
can't
lost
be
mine.
voted on yet until, because that was two separate litigations, and the other one is still pending, so that other draft we can't vote on yet unless we go into another executive session, so just the one for now.
With the regards to the minutes of June 20th, 2024 executive session, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
Lasse Stuber.
Great. All right,
With regards to the meeting minutes of January 9th, 2025, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
you have a second?
Second, sorry.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Lasse Stuber abstain.
All right. With that, where do you want to go now? Back up to,
Close.
what? I know. I told you it was going to be quick. He's ready for this meeting.
Come on, Lauren's ready for every meeting.
Thank you.
I think it's
With the couple of minutes, I'd just like to publicly acknowledge my gratitude for Erin and the work that she did for us on the conservation, on behalf of the conservation agent in the town of Sturbridge for all the years she did it. We will miss her greatly, and we very much appreciate everything she did for us, and wish her the best of luck in her future endeavors.
Great.
With that.
second that.
You second that?
Do you want to sing a song and maybe kill the
No, I think that would kill a meeting.
6:20.
620 on your
You
clock?
guys want a good laugh?
Okay.
I could pull up the new ad campaign that this face and this chin are the center of.
Oh, really?
It's
Ooh.
good. Went live this week. It's
We'll
fantastic.
have to share that.
I'll share that with you privately.
So we're now at
We'll say
6:20,
it publicly, so.
and we
Good,
open the
that's
public hearing. Well, the notice of intent for 57 Karen Road, applicant is John and Katie Weaver, represented by Joe Lebec, Lebec Geometric, Inc., DEP file number 300-1221, proposed project is an addition.
Thanks, how are you?
Good. Who's on?
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, so John and Katie Weaver, 57 Karen Road.
Joe Levesque, I'm the land surveyor that prepared this plan. I also reside at 43 Glendale. So the proposed application before the board tonight is, in my opinion, rather straightforward. It's an existing, two-story dwelling, residential lot. It's right at the end of Karen Road on the west shores of Cedar Lake. Currently residing on the property are 4 structures. There's the main 2-story frame dwelling, and then on the shore of Cedar Lake, there's an existing boathouse. that's rather kind of historic and well-maintained. It's really a nice feature on the property. On the north side of the property, there's an existing shed. On the west side of the property, at the end of the asphalt driveway that provides access to the lot, there's an existing garage. What the Weavers are proposing to do is add a small addition to the northwest corner of the existing two-story frame dwelling. In addition to that, they're doing some sort of minor aesthetic projects on the property. Currently, the property is sort of spiderwebbed with some very narrow concrete walkways that kind of, you know, they're, as you can see, they're on the south side. There's some that are on the east side.
You've got a pointer right there, if you could show.
So in this area, we have some existing concrete walkways that go from an existing patio that's outlined here. This is the existing patio that's currently there. There's one that goes from the driveway across the front to the entry right here. Then it continues easterly to the boathouse. And then there's another one that sort of heads north up into the shed. What the Weavers are proposing to do is to remove that concrete and replace it with a crushed stone combined with like a stepping stone sort of pattern. So it actually provides like a more permeable type of walkway. I think it will also aesthetically just look a little bit better. To the sort of southeast of the property, there's a large concrete patio right in this area. What they're proposing to do is sort of sever it in half. And again, they want to replace this hatched area with a crushed stone and like stepping stone sort of patio. This area right here is going to remain the existing concrete. Mostly, there's a little bit of concern because of the small decorative sort of bordering stone wall that borders the driveway. They don't want to remove it in case it disturbs anything with the wall. So we're going to leave this small portion concrete the way it is today. And then the last sort of big piece to this is they want to do I believe it was like a 20 by 18 proposed permeable paver patio. So as you can see by the dash line, this is the existing patio that's all concrete right now. Right?
Yeah, it's little
Concrete,
stones.
yeah, concrete and like paver stones. And they want to put like a permeable paver patio right here. And then all of these, as I said, these walkways are just going to be pulled up. The concrete will be pulled up and replaced with a crushed stone, stepping stone.
Okay.
Is there,
I didn't really outline it, but the proposed addition is going to be right in this area. This is just kind of squaring off the house a little bit and then adding a proposed deck adjacent to the existing driveway and on the left side of the house there.
any vegetation is going to be removed for the addition and the proposed paver patio?
Yep, so what we're also proposing is right here in front of the house, there's some existing, I think, just like standard evergreen bushes.
Yeah.
They want to replace those evergreen bushes with a more native bush or grass and sort of make it a more, aesthetic planting bed. We're also proposing a same planting bed on the east side of the house in this area. And those are all proposed to be native Massachusetts bushes or grasses. And then at this corner of the
But
house,
these native, the ones that are there that are less native, what are they?
I don't know that they're not native. I think they're just your standard sort of.
Replace them with something more native.
They want to replace it with more native, I should say, more like in quantity, and then.
So you don't
rather
know
than
what they are?
More native in.
They're,
You know what I mean?
they're just kind of old,
Arborvitaes?
evergreen.
Yeah,
bushes.
just overgrown
evergreen,
shrubs.
Well maintained.
Yeah.
We'd like to replace them with something nice that fits the
Aesthetically
area.
The one your grandparents planted in the 70s or 60s,
Whatever that.
Do you know how old I am?
But
I was gonna say, Ed's grandparents in the 70s.
Yeah, are you kidding me? When they got off the Mayflower, they,
No trees,
no.
okay.
Not changing
Yeah.
any of the trees.
No.
If we had pictures of
Yeah.
the bushes.
Yep.
We had been out here. No, none of the bushes. That's the boathouse.
Yeah, just for my memory.
Sure.
Right? And I know that the previous approved plan is not part of this, but if I remember correctly, the plan that we already had approved had a larger house going on there, right?
Correct.
Can you just bring up the map and just kind of give me an idea of, if you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, would you like to see it? I brought a copy of the last plan if you'd like to look at it.
yeah, I'm just trying to visualize how much has been pulled back. I know it's not immaterial.
It's kind of immaterial. They could have been gonna put a Trump Tower on there, and now they're gonna put something else on. What are we talking
Well,
about?
but we already approved it.
Oh, well,
We already, so,
Would have given them.
no, this isn't an adjustment to their plan, this is an adjustment to an approved plan, so.
It was a
I
prior,
will add to you, the previous project was a bigger addition. It did propose taking some of the walkways and replacing them with crushed stone. This one proposes a lot more removal of impervious surface. There's also the added planting beds on the side and also the addition of the rain barrels going on the house, and that's going to be a big improvement. So overall, we're getting a big improvement to the site. Stockpile area has been identified. And also, for the record, ZBA issued a determination yesterday or Tuesday and approved this project. So the comment regarding zoning on the detailed agenda has been addressed.
Yeah, I would thank Lauren and Aaron for their help as we were going through the process, that they were very helpful, and I think it's a great outcome and a good plan.
So this is the 50-foot here?
That's the 25, the
25,
50.
and this is the 50?
Yeah. So a portion of the addition is within the 50. So I do have that a waiver is required. Well, I guess I only said it for the 25. It's for the 52. And 25-foot waiver for the disturbance for the asphalt to be removed from the walkway and to be replaced. So it's a temporary disturbance.
Do you have any little children?
Yes.
Have you had them run on crushed stone before?
We have crushed stone at our current property. Yes, we're familiar with it. That's why we want to put the
No
paver
chance you
stepping
could
stones
look
in there.
at permeable pavers? That's easy for me to say.
I mean, I think if you wanted to give us the flexibility, we'd be happy to price it out. I just am nervous about.
It would be, long-term.
This is what's in here now.
Yeah, so Ed, we put a little detail right in this area, just, it's basically gonna be crushed stone outlined, like a stepping stone outlined with crushed stone.
Okay.
So you'll probably have like about a 6-inch spacing
all right.
between stepping
That
stone,
answers
and
my
then that way at
question.
least it's a nice flat
That
surface.
wasn't a wetland question, by the way.
No,
That
we
one
understand.
that one came off the Mayflower with my grandparents.
Yeah.
All right.
And Lauren, just for my clarification, the impervious walkways seems to be included in the impervious surface coverage. Is that accurate?
It is if
Permeable
you go
pavers,
to,
is that included in that? On what's in the
here's
detailed
all
agenda?
right here. So you've got your proposed impervious coverage with the house, everything's been identified individually. So house, garage, boathouse, shed, asphalt,
Oh, I gotcha.
walkways and patios and walls, and then the same table is on the proposed, so you can see specifically for the walkways that are currently at 1217, going down to 156.
Okay.
And the asphalt also decreased.
Yeah, I broke it down in the detailed in some of the key points, but going back and forth between the two, this is the existing for everything, for the impervious coverage, and this is the proposed.
Now, has everybody seen this site?
I haven't.
Erica,
That's
you've
what
seen it, right,
Oh,
Eric?
yeah.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Carson?
Looks fine.
The only issue is, continuation to take a look at it, conservation's point of view, so that everybody has a chance to look at the site. You aren't gonna start until the snow is off, are you?
Looks fine. I mean, it looks fine to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
it's-
For me, it's an improvement in terms of the plans that were in the blue, so I wouldn't need to.
As I see it, we already approved this. They've come back with an improvement, and when you go on there, what do you see is just a wide open space,
Right.
with a lot of concrete. So what
I mean,
Not that you haven't made material improvements, you have, but, it's a marked improvement over what we
Alright.
approved and what's sitting there right now.
Like for me, I don't need to see it because I see that the majority of the work is an improvement.
Alright.
The changes of, like, from the previous one is an improvement.
All right, so
You
do I have a...
proceed to make a motion. My only change is that I had only put the waiver for the 25-foot no disturb, but it is also for the 50 for the addition of the structure within the 50. So just clarifying that for the vote on the waiver, it would be for disturbance within the 25-foot and structure, new structure within the 50.
All right, would someone like to make a motion then? Well, before we do that, let's see if the audience has anything to say. Anybody in the audience?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Saint Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right.
With regards to the project at 57 Karen Road, I'd like to make a motion to provide a waiver for disturbance within the 25-foot and a structure within the 50-foot.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
With regards to the project at 57 Karen Road, DEP file number 300-1221, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the agent's conditions that have been laid out in the detailed agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right.
With regards to the project at 57 Karen Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the additional, with all the conditions already agreed to as part of the previous motion, and also an additional surety bond to be posted in the amount of $3,000, and that can be provided in cash or as part of a surety bond.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'd watch out on that crushed stone.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Are we at 6:30? Yes, we are at 6:30. Boy, see, Laura, what a meeting you run, right?
Worked out.
What a meeting.
Open the public hearing, notice of intent, 55 Beach Avenue. The applicant is Vernon Jackson, represented by Levesque, Joe Levesque. DEP file number 300-1223, proposed project, raise and rebuild a single-family house. All right. You have to introduce yourself.
Vernon Jackson, 39 Fishkill Road, Sturbridge.
You don't have to, you already did.
Joe Levesque, I'm the surveyor that prepared this plan again that's before the board. Located at 55 Beach Avenue, this is almost opposite the last application we just looked at, except it's on the easterly shore of Cedar Lake. Currently, there's a small, just under 500 square foot cottage. It's in very close proximity to the southeast corner of the lot, only about 10 feet away from the shore of Cedar Lake. And what Mr. Butch Jackson is proposing to do is really, we would like to raise and rebuild the existing cottage by centering it into the lot that he has now. So instead of being about 10 feet away, I think we'd be close to, is that 30? I can't really see, my eyes are getting bad. I think instead of being 10 feet away, we'll be closer to 30 or 20.
20.7.
26.8, 22.5 in this corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
20.7.
And it is a small increase in the size. The overall size of the proposed cottage and deck is 1,000 square feet compared to the existing. I think it was like 468 square feet that's currently there.
So you're going from what to what?
Go from about 450 to 1,000.
So you double the size.
Double.
Double the size.
So
Yeah.
it's not a small addition compared to.
Well, I mean, 1,000 square feet is actually a very small structure. I mean, I understand your point of doubling it, but the relative overall size is very small, in my opinion. I mean,
So with both floors.
yep.
It says two-story it says two-story, is the original one also two stories? One-
What's it, like a story and a half, you'd
Yeah,
say?
it's a single story with,
It's a single story with a small loft.
Okay, so you basically add the second floor.
Yep. So this is the outline of the existing cottage here, the dashed line here, with the deck that's currently attached. And then this gray shaded one will be the proposed two-story dwelling. As you can see, there's not a lot of room there between zoning and conservation restrictions. We're putting it right at the edge of the 25-foot no touch, and the entire property is going to be in the 50-foot no build. So any sort of building or construction that's going to occur is all going to occur within the 25 to 50-foot zone.
Right.
There is a small tree right here. It's like a 6-inch maple tree that will have to be removed. And then we're proposing native trees and bushes right here to sort of mitigate removing the 1 6-inch maple tree. And their existing grinder pump is right here, and that will have to be relocated about 15 feet to the east to be outside the footprint of the new house.
What's the vegetation otherwise?
Right now, it's basically all lawn. It's just a grass lawn, right?
And there's a
But-
couple of good-sized blueberry bushes over, there's one over by the docks. And there's one up on the, that little round cutout is. to the-
Oh, over here?
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another tree, that other,
And there's a proposed planting area right here too.
where it says, is that something area, back corner of that circle?
The stockpile area?
There's some bushes there,
Do you
and
have pictures of the problem?
2 maple trees in the small one. Eric, any questions?
So, what other alternatives were considered? I mean, whenever we're talking about something like this inside it, I realize it's a very difficult lot, but
Yeah.
what other alternatives for placement were considered in order to make that? That's number one, and number two, if we were to remove that little 8-foot carry of the proposed deck, I know it's not 100% inside of the or outside of the 25-foot, but the lion's share of what is inside the 25-foot is all in that little kind of rectangle down there. So if I could just get a rationale on why that is needed as part of the overall project.
It's just if you look at the old camp, the old deck design,
Right here.
that area right in there is where it's wide enough for a table and some chairs, whereas the front part's kind of like a walkway, so that's where everybody's kind of gathers. And
So
we're
he's
gonna-
just trying, this
we're gonna
area is just
screen that in,
recapturing
too.
what was kind of there,
Yeah,
you know
we're
what I
gonna
mean?
kind of screen that into and be an area we can sell.
Okay.
I mean, as far as general location, there could be a couple alternatives. I mean, it is possible to rotate this whole structure 90 degrees and be entirely outside of the 25-foot. It'd be right on the edge, but you could kind of squeeze out that little section and put it over here. Although Mr. Jackson was really hoping to have the rose deck facing to the east.
Facing the water.
Yeah, facing the water. There is some water over here, but it's not
It's
like
a cove.
It's a
There's
little
cove on both
cove.
sides.
you're really looking more at the neighbor's backyard over here and their boat docks instead of looking into the open waters of Cedar Lake.
We also weren't able to do a site visit because of the weather conditions, but from what I recall of this area, the parking is already so limited as it is too. So in previous discussions that we had of moving the house back and cutting off some of the driveway, it's going to be a challenge to get a vehicle
Oh,
or the
okay.
vehicles in and out of the park area too. It is a very
So this is the current
complicated
paved
lot.
area right here.
So we're
we're actually
So-
already.
Grinder pump is already getting relocated too, so that's moving back.
And we're already eliminating a little bit of the paved area.
So as you said, I mean, as alternatives go, you could theoretically place the house more here, but then now we're talking about adding
Yep.
parking and disturbing more.
And last question I have for this, and I'll turn it over to Flora, but the tree that's being removed, up there, the 6-inch maple, is there a replacement plan for somewhere on this plan?
I was thinking it would kind of go at the same location as the planting bed. I think the commission generally requires like a 2-for-1 sort of planting.
Yeah,
If you want, we could add a note, maybe put one here and put one here,
okay.
and then you get your 2-for-1 to be a little more specific.
Would you want
a
to
little
put this right
close
on the
to-
edge of the water like that?
Well, it's up
Yeah.
to you. Sure, where do you
No,
want
I'd
to put
rather
it?
You
put them
do.
on the side.
You want
on
to
the
put them like
side
up
over
here or
here.
something?
Well, there's already, actually, there's 2 trees on that side, so on this side probably.
Oh, over here.
Yeah, and that back.
Okay.
Obviously,
that tree-
we still need to go out, but if there's anything that really stands out that you think needs to be addressed, I think the only thing that I had kind of requested at this point still was just having some downspouts with just some infiltration. It looks like it's fairly flat lot, but
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at it.
anything that we can do to try and improve the water quality already going into Cedar Lake, where there's already known issues, is beneficial.
Yeah.
All the DEP comments addressed, I don't think.
So, one is on the existence of BVW, which we haven't been able to verify that on site. We do have a response as far as the bank. The foundation, that was one, to see for land of flooding. I know we had talked about that, if we confirmed what type of foundation you're going to be
Blocks,
doing.
it's cinder blocks. But we're
Okay.
gonna
Are
put
you
it.
doing a full depth or a frost wall?
Okay. That answers the impact to,
So you can have a full basement?
Frost wall.
Frost
So more
wall.
of a crawl space.
This is just a slab.
Or, slab.
Good, he needs some place to crawl around in.
and we will quantify the amount of temporary disturbance due to the erosion control in the order of conditions. The other comment about clarifying the native plantings, that's can be clarified in the order of conditions unless you want something specific, but for my go-to conditions, I mean, I always put nothing from the prohibited plant list, and everything has to be native, and we work with applicants to try and get those right. There's also a comment about Chapter 91 filing, and just in all of the docs that are on here are currently in existence. It was actually my request that they get added on because they've, been there, that it just is, in benefits of the homeowner, just having those noted that they are on record and on file, that these docs exist and have been here, and there's no change to them. So no Chapter 91 is required for this.
That middle dock is actually a floating dock.
Okay.
Attached to the wall
Yeah.
by rope, just for the jet, just float. Not really attached. The wall. The other 2 are bolted to the wall, but they're removed.
All right, any further questions? Like a continuation for the next meeting, so we can take a site visit and take a look at it? Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until, what is it, March 13th?
Correct.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
San German in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. And we'll keep you posted when we're gonna be able to do the site visits, of course. Hopefully all this melts over the weekend, so we can try and start getting out next week. Yes.
I think Monday is going to be like 4th or something.
All right, we are now at number 5, 6:40. Open the public hearing for notice of intent, Odak Road. Applicant Ryan Coakley, Burbridge Road Solar Farm LLC. Next Era Energy Resources owner, Town of Sturbridge representative is Chris Nolan, Para Corporation, 300, no number?
No number.
All right. Removal of hazardous waste, huh?
The applicant is requesting a continuance to March 13th since we don't have a DEP file number. Chris is on remotely, so
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Commissioner members, how are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, there's no point in going forward with it if you can't close the meeting.
Right.
So we'll request a continuance to March 13th, and hopefully the DEP figures it out by then.
Thank you. Yeah, good.
Are we,
Thank you, thank you.
has this ever been opened? Are we better off just not opening it, or it doesn't matter?
Well, if
it's already
you
open.
don't open it, don't I have to re-advertise?
Right.
Yeah.
I
We won't have
prefer
to
not
re-advertise
to.
anyway, but I mean, you did just open it, so it's just open with no discussion, moving on to continuous.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the project for Podunk Road, for Sturbridge Road Solar Farm until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right. We are now 6:50. No, we're not to 6:50.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
There you
Yep.
go.
Anything we can work on here?
Since this would be relevant to some of these upcoming projects, from part of my update, one of the items that I wanted to kind of bring to the table is a discussion on the surety bonds. I think, over the last few months, we've been really good at maintaining consistency of what we're asking for similar types of projects and making sure that, the same type of projects are getting, similar types of bonds. I did want to bring up projects where planting is required or additional activities are required, where we have a condition where it either needs, 2 growing seasons or 2 years or whatever that is, bringing forward an opportunity or putting it within the language that the applicant or the property owner would be able to come before the commission to request a partial release of the bond, whether that's an amount that's determined before or they propose how much they're looking to release for certain portions of the project being complete. Reason being, for some of these projects, say it's a new house that's going up, or a raise and rebuild, that it's the house that's going up, there's replanting that's involved and landscaping that's involved. Once the house is done, the contract between the homeowner and the builder is essentially done. And the builders are usually the ones that are putting up these sureties, so their money is essentially being held when their contract with their client is done. And I think that, given certain it's going to be circumstantial based on the site, but if it's just replanting, either being able to request a partial certificate of compliance for the house being done, or just coming before a proposal before the commission saying we'd like to reduce the bond from, say, $5,000 to $1,000, and it's just replaced, that the contractor can get their bond back as with the assurance that, or with some type of surety coming from either the homeowner or the landscaper. So there's still something being held, but so that we're not holding up some of the contractors that are putting this up when their responsibility with their client is essentially done, if that makes sense. So I have this kind of noted in some of these draft conditions going forward, but also providing it as an opportunity for some of these ones that have already been issued, just kind of putting it out there that with a proper proposal and adequate replacement, that if these things can be, you're willing to accept these types of proposals from property owners for a replacement surety or reduced surety based off of certain work that has been completed.
Would we be able to provision that at the agent's discretion? Because I think it would be just burdensome to bring in front of us, and I don't know that we're going to have much of a different opinion from what you would be okay with making a change to. So if that would be the case, I mean, I'd be supportive of it anyway, but I would think that we would probably want to leave that decision making in the hands of you to determine what the amount is, because you're going to have a better grasp on what is it really going to cost relatively to make that come back into compliance if something did go off the rails. And B, I don't know that we need to get bogged down in additional meeting time and agenda items for something like that, especially if you feel like we can issue a partial compliance.
I think some bigger projects that would be probably a recommendation that I would make, that you get a partial certificate of compliance for the structure being done itself, all the stormwater components and whatnot, and then that. So, like I said, it's gonna be case by case, just using raise and rebuilds as an example, since we have so many of those on the table, but, just wanted to bring that up as a discussion point, and then I've given Karsten and Laura.
I agree with Eric. I think just making them come again in front of us is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, so if we do a partial certificate of compliance, then the agent determines a partial release of the bond or something.
Well, so you'd still have to vote on the partial. If it was something that I wouldn't think a partial was needed, like I said, case by case, but if it's one that I recommend that they get a partial, then, that would actually be part of the motion of a issuance of a
Gotcha.
certificate of compliance.
Yep.
If it's something that a bond has been reduced, obviously we'd track that internally through, accounting, and then when that project is complete, I would make sure that it's noted that the initial bond was 5,000, we did a reduction on this date for this reason, the remaining bond is this much, so when you issue the certificate of compliance, you'd also release the additional bond money.
And I
Everyone's
think it
comfortable
still
with that?
addresses the core concern of the bonds to begin with, which is closing out the project.
Well, closing
And
out
if
the
that
project,
becomes
but
the
also-
owner's responsibility instead of the builder's, I don't know that there's a significant difference there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more than closing out to, it's that, if something the project gets abandoned,
Yeah, right.
having to be able to
Yeah,
go
I
in
agree.
and
But
step up, so.
it could make a significant difference
Yeah,
if in case if it went to the actual owner from the builder, there'd be less pressure to finish it up, period.
Well, a lot of them right now are the builder,
Yeah, right.
and then,
so
yeah,
you
so
think
it'd
the
move to-
owner would have less pressure?
Yeah, he's living there. The builder.
Well, we still have their
builder
money.
needs to get out from underneath the building.
We'd have their money.
I'm saying if you offered a partial, there's less chance, It's not a big difference, but it
there
certainly
needs
is.
to be a carrot, right? There needs to be an enforcement mechanism, and there also needs to be a reason for them to come back and a cure for us to make sure that there's something. I think it's a reasonable ask, and if we find out for some reason that that's consistently creating a negative situation, then we can revisit it.
Right.
Great.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I think we're good to move on to item number 6.
Yep. Bring it up here. Public hearing, notice of intent for 110 Paradise Lane. The applicant is Tracy Murphy, represented McClure Engineering, DEP file number, we don't have a number. Okay.
Nope, that's the one you do have the number, that's your Post-it note
Oh,
right
okay,
there.
yeah, all right.
What's the number?
300-1225,
Thank you.
right?
Okay, good evening. Christopher McClure, McClure Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Tracy Murphy, who's currently down in Florida, and I could not convince him to come up and enjoy the balmy weather that we have up here, so.
Gone down.
I know, we should all went down, and we could
It will be
visit it from
part
here.
of the order of condition that he comes up with.
Exactly. This property is at 110 Paradise Lane, and it is a raise and rebuild. The existing structure here is much closer to Big Alum than what the proposed structure is going to be. The square footage for these two properties is pretty much identical. The lot coverage is going to be pretty much identical. So it is, raising this structure. Here's the 25 no build right here, and here's the no touch, and there's a 50. So the house and the deck are going to be outside of that. And so they're proposing a 42 by 24 single-family home. They already have access through these pavers. Pavers walk, and the gravel parking is going to remain the same, with the exception of the installation of a 4-foot retaining wall behind the structure itself. So we would be proposing, we have a construction sequence. If you would recall, we are currently permitted a site for Keith Gagnon, which is adjacent to this property. So the construction sequencing and the same type of erosion controls are going to be implemented here. And overall, I think it's going to be a benefit getting this home away from the resource area.
Great. Eric, you got
Feels like a trick. This one's too easy.
I know.
I was going to say something along that line.
I literally have no, thank you. There's my comment.
Thanks.
I would like to see it, though. You know, but it's almost, you know, it looks flat on paper.
Yeah. I mean, it's sloped down, obviously, not nearly as steep as the adjacent properties are. So.
I hope so.
You wouldn't want to be driving around or walking around in there. You'll end up down in the lake. So, but again, I think when we presented this to us, we felt that the commission would think this is a favorable project. And
So are you removing any trees with the new homes?
there will be, and we will have those. They were marked for inspection. We will be removing some trees right in this area here in order to get that structure.
We plant the trees? Or?
Depending upon, yes, we'll make sure the revegetates. Gets the replacements as necessary. We'll have a count for you and the rest of them. He was having his forester mark those trees prior to your off-site walk.
Yeah. Any other comments? I think
Look at
Eric's.
this in a couple of weeks and then.
I think seeing the tree removal, seeing the site, I would like to see some type of stormwater maintenance, downspouts or rain barrels or something, because as we know from that area, it is very steep and it's so much uphill above it, and there's a lot of development going on this entire street. Looking at the trees and any mitigation, since this portion of the house is coming down, it looks like the plan just says that it'll be seeded.
Right.
But maybe there's some opportunity to do some planting, some vegetation in that area. And I also had a note, if we can get details on the deck on the stairs, just for, if you can just add the posts, what type of posts they're gonna be and how many, so that those are noted on the plan. Because of the slope, do you think you have to blast or anything, or just?
No, I don't believe so. That area over there, and we do have somebody in the audience who has some experience, excavation in that area. And he'd probably be doing this work as well. So we haven't run into anything yet on the adjacent property, so we're hoping that we won't do it here as well.
He's over here, right?
No.
Oh, he's up here?
Yes, yeah.
And ZBA approval is required for this one. I don't know if you guys have
Yes.
started that process.
We haven't. Gene usually asks us to get this out of the way first.
Okay.
We transition.
So this isn't anywhere near as steep as Keith.
No.
All right. Any questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Seeing none, we have a motion to continue?
Yeah, with regards to DEP file number 300-1225 at 110 Paradise Lane, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until the 13th of March.
Second.
Any discussion at all? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
And Sherman in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we are now,
We'll keep an eye on the snow melt and notify
Yeah.
you
Oh,
when
yeah.
we can get out there and meet something.
Yeah.
Your client did call me and made sure that we were not going there because he was concerned that we were all gonna slip and slide down the driveway,
Down in the
so.
lake.
We certainly would have.
All right, we are now at 7 o'clock. Open the public hearing for the notice of intent for Cedar Lake. Applicant and Cedar Lake Association, represented by TRC 300, do we have a number?
We do not have a file number for this, no.
File number. All right. You're on.
Thanks. We have Anna Chase.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My name's Carl Nielsen. I'm with TRC Companies. And
I'm Suzanne Brozek. I'm with Cedar Lake Association.
address, I think. They want your
And
address.
I'm Anna Chase, with TRC. Drive.
Yeah. Said Suzanne?
Suzanne Brozek.
There's Anna. Can you hear us, Anna?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Great. Do you want to introduce the project? Do you want to introduce the project, or do you want me to?
Do you want to take you
Okay.
can do the speaking and I can share my screen if that would be helpful?
Sure, that would be great. So my name's
There's a little
Carl.
bit of a delay on this line.
Yeah, I know. My name's Carl Nielsen, and I'm with TRC. We're working on the notice of intent for the management of Cedar Lake. The ongoing management is really a continuation of what's been happening over the last 20 years. And we're just looking to extend that work and that order of conditions going forward. This is being resubmitted because I think Lauren said they had continued or extended this 4 times previously, and so it was sort of felt it was need to refresh it. So given that, TRC has been working with the association to collect water quality data this past year. We may be working with them in the future to do a lake study. So we have a pretty good understanding of the lake and its needs. We reviewed the prior orders of conditions and updated those with some newer herbicides that weren't available originally when they were permitted 20 years ago. One of the herbicides we're proposing is far less toxic than anything on the market, and so that's one of the reasons it's being added to the mix. But the work includes herbicide use to control invasive species, fanwort, variable leaf milfoil, and a nuisance plant, thin-leafed pondweed that can grow pretty dense and up near the surface. And the backup to that, once we get to lower densities, would be hand pulling or hand harvesting so that we're not putting out herbicides to treat 5 or 6 plants where we're going in and combating them with non-herbicide approaches. And then the third piece of it, which isn't included in the NOI application, is drawdown. That was not part of the original NOI application in 2004. It was added as an amendment previously. I think that's in the notes that you have for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, it was added in 2007.
In 2007, and so there's information there on what they've been doing for the drawdown, and what we are hoping to do is be able to, we don't have a DEP file number, so we're not closing the hearing tonight, but we would like to be able to get approval for the herbicide and hand pulling work so that that work can happen this summer while we gather some additional data that's required by DEP to submit sort of the drawdown plan. One of the things we need is some bathymetric data on the lake, which there really isn't any available. So we'll collect that during the summer when we're out doing our aquatic plant mapping. So that's my summary.
All right?
Can I ask a question?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So at the moment, do you have the locations where you are planning on using these herbicides?
Yes.
Which areas are of the lake?
So
Because you mentioned that
Yep.
you're going to do the survey during the summer. So
well,
I
we've
wasn't
been
sure.
There's been surveys in the past, and so there was a survey in 2024. Wow, it's hard to read that figure.
Oh yeah, I can make it larger. This figure is showing the thin leaf pondweed. So this is that nuisance native species.
So there's
it's only really a problem up in the extreme northern end of the lake.
So that would be one targeted patch.
Yes, this targeted patch.
And then the fanwort and the milfoil.
Yes, this right here shows fanwort. So the points are survey locations, and you can see there's only a couple. Sorry if this is kind of small on your screen.
That works.
There's a couple of locations in the southern end of the pond where we observed fanwort last early May. And then similarly, this is a map of variable leaf milfoil, which is the other invasive plant, found in a similar area to where the fanwort was present.
Just that spot.
And you mentioned,
we only found it in one spot.
And you mentioned that the removal without the herbicides is going to be in areas that have lower density of plants. So it will be like the green points, the yellow points, like less than 50%.
Yeah, those points that you see there are point maps. So we basically go out and record whether it's present or absent at those dots. They're not unlike the. So there you can see there's a few more dots there.
Yeah, for perspective, here's the map of the areas that were treated by the herbicide contractor, who's a separate entity from us, last May.
So those were treated in 2024, and we would go out this spring again. We would go out pre-map, give that map and recommendations to the herbicide contractor that then comes in and does the work. So TRC is not an herbicide contractor. We don't have a vested interest in, expanding the area of the map or increasing the number of acres that get treated each year. We're an independent consultant. And then the herbicide work would be done by a licensed herbicide applicator, and they would need to get a DEP license to apply each year before they go, and they have to show that they have an order of conditions in place and that they're still certified and legally able to apply herbicides in the state of Massachusetts.
So the application will be in the locations that were shown in the previous map,
Yep.
the two areas
Yep.
in the southeastern part of the lake. and the area in the
Likely.
north.
It might shift or change a little bit based on the 2025 mapping that we do when we go out in May, but it's not going to be.
Wait a minute, southeastern?
Pardon?
Was that correct? Go back to that.
Well, yes, it's the south, it's like around that.
It's around that
little-
cove there.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Anna, can you pull up the treatment map again?
Yes.
2024.
Yeah, so this is the treatment areas.
So there's plants throughout the lake. Those are just the plants that are invasive or non-native that we want to address.
Yeah.
And so they're not, the goal isn't to eradicate plants. It's really to prevent the overgrowth of invasive species from overrunning the lake and ultimately making it much less conducive to aquatic habitat for fish and everything else, in addition to recreation.
But the flow of the lake comes this way, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Now, what's the size of the lake?
156 acres.
156. That's right. And as far as the areas that you want to treat, right now you're looking at those three?
Roughly, that'll be the areas for 2025. We'll refine the map and we can provide you with a pre-treatment map as soon as we get the data from May of 2025.
Now, do any of these pesticides, herbicides contain PFAS?
Not according to EPA, they don't. They have fluorinated compounds as part of them, so.
Do we have an EPA?
Good question. Not at the moment. So they're pretty quiet, but the research that they've done quite a bit on pesticides and the breakdown products of them, and they have not stated that they have them or don't. They've stated that they don't have them. So for what that's worth, but there are other states that have concluded that the breakdown products of these have fluorinated molecules that are similar to PFAS compounds, and so therefore, like Minnesota's restricted the use of some of the herbicides.
That you're talking about?
Minnesota has the definition of PFAS is any compound that has basically fluoride. But the molecular structure of the PFAS is very specific. It's basically a lot of fluoride. And the compound that I think is the Procellacor,
yeah.
that has fluoride, but is one fluoride in a basically benzene molecules. So by some definitions is considered PFAS, but it's not the
Minnesota work is being challenged in court at the moment because it's affecting the business of the manufacturers. Of
Aren't they still
chemicals.
challenging DDT?
Minnesota?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just kidding.
They might be.
But everything evolves.
Yes, it does.
They use it till we find out.
Yeah, these herbicides have been approved in Massachusetts, which Massachusetts does its own review of herbicides before they allow it. So they take the data from EPA, and then they are more restrictive than EPA in that they must go through the process themselves before they allow the use in the state. So Procellacor has been used for over 10 years in other states, but it's only been recently approved like 3 years ago in Massachusetts. So it's just a process to go through, but, they...
Well, I'm just, I've seen the upswing of PFAS.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And so my concern is that since it's everywhere and it's forever.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, see, you're rolling your eyes. I'm telling you,
Not rolling, but I'm saying it's possibly forever.
Yeah.
There's ways to break it down.
Nobody's proven that it goes away.
Doesn't on its own.
Right. Yeah. So that
checking the structure, like, because after I mentioned the Procellacor, the structure doesn't seem like to be one of the very undestructible PFAS. At this moment I'm more concerned by the use of DIQUAT or DIQUAT. That it has been banned in the UK, the European Union, and Switzerland because of health effects on humans. That's the one that I'm...
Is that glyphosate that you're thinking of?
No. The glyphosate as well was, but the DIQUAT is also banned in the European Union, UK, and Switzerland.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I'm concerned from the most concerned from the list. I don't like any pesticides, but the ones that I'm more concerned about, that one. And then in the list is mentioned the use of copper-based algicides. Those are the ones that we are used in organic. That should be fine. But at the same time, there is an increase in copper pollution in a lot of lakes and how it affects wildlife. And one of the things that we want to do at this commission is to protect the wildlife of these wetlands. Just want to be sure, when it says copper base, it's want to be sure that the amount that is used in the system, that's why I was asking on the areas, it's okay, is it going to be everywhere or is it going to be in the particular areas where it's going to be applied? I would like to have a more detailed plan on the application of these different algicides from my side, from any of them, to minimize the effect on the wildlife, and ideally not use DIQUAT, since I know that it's approved for Massachusetts, but it's kind of like the glyphosate.
Yeah,
it's kind of like things come a little bit later.
Yeah, it's approved in Massachusetts, it's approved nationally, and it's been used for many, many years. It's one of the older herbicides, and it's also one of the cheaper herbicides as a result of that. But the real goal for us is to use Percellacor on the milfoil because it's a systemic herbicide. It kills the roots, and it will result in fewer treatments over time where you put it in, you get that control, and it will last. It may kill it all or kill it to the point where hand harvesting becomes a viable option, and they can get away from the herbicide treatment. So that's what we're hoping to use. We used that successfully in South Pond, in Sturbridge. Well, it was in the East Brookfield side, not in South Pond, not in Sturbridge end. But there was a patch of recurring variable leaf milfoil that Dicot was not getting rid of. We were hitting it every year with Dicot, and it kept growing back. They put in Percellacor, and it has never returned. And it's been 3 years. So that's what we want to do here. We want to get away from heavy herbicide use, and there really aren't, because of the way they've been managing the lake. Those little patches of weeds are not heavy herb. They're really doing what should be done, which is proactively managing to keep the invasives out of the lake or keep them from spreading, keeping boats from churning through them and spreading the fragments throughout the lake by treating early and taking care of it. And that's the greater benefit is the ecological diversity of the habitat and the aquatic plants that are remaining are better as a result of the management that the Lake Association's been doing.
I am going to cut it off.
Fair enough.
Because we know we're going to meet
continue.
again. And we just,
Can I just add one thing too? Just pointing out the comment from the water department that Shane and Heather are requesting the safety data sheets for the chemicals being used, since that does go by the town's well system.
Sure.
And Ed, I know you brought up the size, and I don't know if this is a question that you'd be able to answer, but when I was going through some of the records on the lake, we had it documented in 1993 that, or maybe Suzanne, you know too, in 1993, the lake was 195 acres. From the 2006 submission, it says it was 150 acres, and then this submission says 156. I just want to make sure our town records are updated, especially if we're working on the open space plan and everything.
Yeah,
too.
it's 156 based on GIS work that we did.
Okay.
So we looked at the air, we calculated the area with a current GIS map. So it's give or take an acre.
And if you can
Anybody
send
have a quick question
those
before we-
data sheets to me so I can forward them
Yep.
over, and then if they have any additional comments prior to our next meeting, I'd like to have those noted instead of having to.
Yep, absolutely.
Carl, I just have
Yeah,
one quick
I have
question.
those sheets
As a
prepared right now. I
practical
can send
matter,
those over.
those 3 sites,
Thank
do you
you.
expect that they're going to expand or contract when you do your 25 survey?
I'm hoping they contract,
Okay.
but I
Well,
don't. I don't know.
what's your gut tell you?
I believe they treated with Dicot last year,
Yeah, they
and
did.
that won't.
Okay.
Dicot is like mowing the lawn. It burns off the surface vegetation, and the roots stay there, and so.
Okay. So not
It's-
only is Fleur concerned about the potential health, but we're concerned it doesn't work. So maybe we try to find something else.
Well, that's why this
Yeah.
permit will have Percellacor in it, which will give them a whole different tool, so
Okay.
that's what we're hoping.
All right. That's it. That's
anything
all.
else this time?
No, not for this.
Can we also,
Allison, you have anything else? No? One question that I would ask is, have you looked across the pike? See if your source is on the other side of the
as far as
other side of the
other
road?
weed sources?
What?
You mean like other variable milfoil and?
Yeah,
I haven't looked across.
because that's
I'm sure
flows
they're
right in.
very well could. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I would think that there'd be a lot of variable leaf milfoil in that northern end, if that was the case.
Yeah, many years ago, we had a lot of milfoil in the north end, but we haven't seen as much. We did use Percellacor about 4 years ago,
Yeah.
but we've been seeing up there now is pondweed, and that's been fairly new. Over the last couple of years, it's been really, really thick and very heavy. So I don't know, Carla, could that be coming
Yeah.
from, I don't know.
It could. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't look up there, so
Yeah,
it's possible. I know that when we deal with Quabog Pond and South Pond, the milfoil comes from upstream in the 7 Mile River.
Right.
And it's full milfoil and fanwort, and, you know, so it's,
Okay.
it's a battle,
Any
for
chance you
sure.
could talk to the Rod and Gun and
Mm,
take a look in there?
yeah.
And the other thing that I feel that the Quinnebog suffers greatly from the treatment that you guys do.
The Quinnebog suffers?
Goes down, and you can find bright yellow spots along the Quinnebog in the summer, and it's getting less and less.
I haven't done any treatments myself, so when you say you guys, it's not TRC.
Well, I didn't even mean it as you guys. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that the ponds in general that
Yeah, I don't,
launch
I mean,
into-
when they put in the herbicide, they're putting it in at about the lowest concentration they can do to get the control result that they want to achieve.
yeah.
So they need to keep them happy to make sure that the results that they paid for are achieved.
Yeah.
But they're not spending extra money to put in extra herbicide because they don't want to. It costs them money to do that. So when we target a specific bed of weed, they are putting the herbicide in that bed of weed.
Right.
At a very low concentration, then you get quite a bit of dilution to the point where it won't have an effect.
Yeah.
It's
the weeds-
it's so diluted by the time it moves
And
down.
so you pick up all the weeds and
What's that?
you pick up all the weeds and bring them home, or do they float down the Quinnebog?
Oh, the dead weeds?
Yeah.
They generally senesce slowly, so they're not. When they use like fluoridone is one that they use. It's a very slow acting one. Diquat is very fast acting, and the plant basically breaks apart.
Yeah. Okay.
It happens pretty quickly. It doesn't uproot and float away.
Yeah. I hear you.
But boats driving through weeds will cause
Those damn boats.
well, they can.
We've always said it's the damn boats. Keep the boats out.
I'll try. So,
Seemed like you had a
yeah,
question.
my last little question or comment, we're hoping that we can get, once we get the DEP license or number, we can get approval of the order of conditions with a condition for providing the additional information on the drawdown to the satisfaction of the commission, and so that it's all included under one permit.
Good.
Okay.
All right, great. So, did I get the
Public comment?
public comment, anybody? I know you have a public comment. Okay, all right.
With regards to the project on Cedar Lake, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until March 13th.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Center money in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, we are now at 7:10. Notice of intent for 312 The Trail. Applicant Jamie Scour, Representative Mark Lefigny, and Ground Effects, DP file number 300-1222, proposed project Cantilever Dock. Right? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Another one, you. Another docks there.
Yeah.
It's gonna come with connectors pretty soon.
Well, this one, I hope it's pretty small. This proposed dock is shifted over. The seasonal one is built into the ground in here over the water. And then when the seasonal one rolls out, it rolls out this way. So the space of the proposed permanent dock is actually smaller than what's there right now. And this whole area is existing grass, and this is just a multitude of boulders that comes through here. And the excavation for the counterweight would be behind all that. And then with 6 to 7 inches of coverage over it, and then we would turn it back to grass. So there's nothing built over the shore, on the land.
And so the path to the dock would be over the grass?
There's over the grass, yeah. There's a paver walkway that goes like this way down to the house that there's been no discussion about doing anything with that. So this would just all remain grass as it is right now. Revert right back to the way it looks.
Wouldn't you want to ask that question?
About the walkway?
Yeah.
They were happy to, they know the situation with the docks, and they weren't gonna change the walk, as far as I know. I can ask them about that.
I mean, that's just a question that I would ask.
Because I know that the walk doesn't make it to the existing seasonal. There's still grass between it. So I think they would be happy. I can't, say for sure, but there was no discussion about it or want to change anything in that way.
Where is it in relationship to the boundaries on the property?
The property boundary right here, we're, I think, if I remember right, we're about 35 feet over. And the property line on this side is way, way over. That cove that comes in to the left of that, their property goes all the way over there.
This is a site that we'll have to go out to see. We weren't able to go out.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at it.
Another perspective
Yeah, it's
side
all,
profile, but
this is probably the most flat property that we've worked on.
That's wide open down there.
Yeah, no trees are involved. Access is extremely easy for the equipment, which we would lay 3/4-inch plywood road down, so we're not doing any damage to any soil going in or out.
What kind of shape is the boulder wall in right now? Is there any?
It's just extremely, it wasn't put there by anybody. It's just a natural, like, eroded boulders along the shore. So those aren't going to get moved.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Seeing none, continuation?
So to get the site visit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With regards to the EP file number 300-1222, 312 The Trail, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until the 13th of March.
Second.
Lauren, you might want to plug in. You're going to lose your battery soon.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Oh. Maybe you don't have to.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
San Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All set?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, you're on for the 13th? Is that? Lauren, you have a date for?
March 13th for continuance, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can get some site visits in next week or the
Yeah.
following, depending on what else over the next few days.
All right. Now our 7:20, all right. We're rolling. Are you walking around trying to slow me down? Open the public hearing, request, amend the order of conditions for 546 and 548 Haynes Street. Okay.
Applicant is requesting a continuance to March 13th pending a site visit.
All right.
Make a motion with regards to the SEC file number 21-92. I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until March 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
San Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor? Carsten? Wait for Carsten.
March 13 is going to be a long meeting.
It's going to be a long meeting. A long site visit.
We'll fly through.
Actually, some of these projects that we
It's
just
re-
want to get eyes on, like that last one.
A lot
when
of
you
it's
see
just
it,
confirming
it's
what's
wide
there.
open. It's
Easy one.
pretty
Good,
straightforward.
Good.
So, and I think like the
We're not all knowing and wise like you are.
Ed, it's the burden I carry.
Hey, Mark?
Hello.
Carsten, a motion was made to continue 546 and 548 Hayes to March 13th. Thank you.
Now, we have Mark Farrell in the audience.
I was just going to say,
Why don't
go back
we,
to number 2.
It's late.
Mark,
Mark, you're
are you
late.
formally requesting a continuance for 37 Finley since we didn't? Yes, I am. I thought sure, but we're just clarifying. Okay.
Great.
So can we get a
With regards to SCC file number 25-50, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until March 13th, Mark?
Yes.
That next meeting, March 13th?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
March 13th.
Second.
Any participation in the audience? No? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
San German in favor?
Victor in favor?
Austin Stuber in favor.
All right, now,
Perfect. On track 7:30, item 10.
it's 7:31.
Whatever clock you're looking at.
All right. Request to amend the order of conditions for 4 Regent Lane. The applicant is Amagon Caesar, Representative McClure Engineering, 300-1036, proposed project, construction of.
The originally approved project was the construction of a single-family home. The amendment is for some minor changes to this construction.
Go ahead.
Great, Christopher McClure, McClure Engineering, and as the chair said, I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Amagon Caesar, for Regent Lane. This project was started by a previous engineer, Mr. Jalbert, and I've called to assist with the applicant to try to close out the COC. It initially started as a partial COC, and then Aaron notified us and let us know that we were eligible for a permit extension under the under the COVID Act, and then there was another. Complete the remaining items that he wanted to do as part of, well, these are some additional things that he wanted to do and clean up what he had started as far as the project goes, his home goes. So he's on Regent Lane, which is right off of Farquhar, and in the area of this cul-de-sac. They never paved the gravel drive, so he's proposing to pave that driveway, some additional area right through here. What you see, all this is a 2-to-1 riprap slope. The fence was never installed, which they're proposing to do as part of this amended order. In addition to, they never had a deck proposed here, so this deck would be constructed on helix piles, and obviously there's no backyard there. It's just going to be a deck jutting out from the house. The only part of the project that's within the 100-foot is this area right here in the deck. And also he wants to put a front porch on. If you've been, I think you did have a site walk. It was way back when we were requesting a partial. So you can see there's some finishing that needs to be done in order for the house to be completed. So that's kind of what he's looking to do here, finalize it all and button it up. And he had this all planned, but didn't realize that he was caught up in that whole the unfinished, certificate of compliance, order of conditions type of thing.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been since 2019. So I'm here to try and help him through it, and I appreciate all the effort that we've gotten, help from Lauren and Aaron on this.
And I did go to our building inspector to try and get an opinion from him as far as the long-term stability of the deck, because that is on the edge of such a steep slope. He has some concern on this corner and doesn't think that you'd actually be able to get the deck out this far to the edge of the house.
Yeah.
But without a detail, he wasn't able to give me any more information.
Sure.
But you said that you were going to do helix piles. How deep do those have to go in? Because my just concern, the riprap's going to stabilize and that slope's going to stabilize, but long term, we want to make sure that the deck doesn't collapse.
Yeah, the applicant, is an engineer. He understands the importance of making sure that we have a good structural engineer involved to ensure that deck is going to withstand, stand up over time. So we wanted to get this thing permitted and get approved so he can get that deck on the back of the house, and then we will ensure that this thing is designed in accordance meets the building departments.
This point right here.
Yeah.
How far down is it from there? Because it's steep, as you know.
It's very steep. So again, I'm assuming, and he may have to crop that deck, which we just, as this project progressed, he was like, well, I really want a deck in the back. And I said, well, it's just typically we'll carry
So
the whole
this,
deck.
it's set up for a deck in the back.
Yes, yeah, the house is set, kind of set up,
Got the, you know,
sliding glass,
Yeah.
yeah. So again, with this approval, we'll ensure that we go through the proper, investigation to ensure that this deck gets built in accordance with, proper code, so.
Eric, anything?
So,
Go to that.
just so I'm quantifying the additional work, is the enclosed deck and the open deck in the back, the front porch, and a trailer shed
Yes, trailer shed.
as well?
Yes, that's new as
The
well.
gravel drive, was that originally, is that, the gravel drive was there, but it was originally proposed as a paved drive?
Yes,
correct?
and we're
So-
not proposing to pave that.
But it was originally approved to pave, right?
Yes, it was,
Okay.
yes, yes.
So,
This portion
we're
was
talking
not.
about an additional, that hash mark there is additional paving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is the wetland on that side?
It's that wetland that comes in behind the.
No, I mean on that side. How far is the wetland over here?
Oh, that's Park. That's the road, Park Road. So it's
not.
It's not. Yeah,
So this is really out of our jurisdiction?
that's the
Well,
between the 200.
It'd be in the 200.
Yeah.
What?
It's in the 200.
In the 200?
Outside of the 100, within the 200.
Okay. All right. Has everybody seen this and ready to vote on it? Or do you want to take a look at it?
I don't think I can vote on this one. Can
It's an amendment, so you can.
I? Okay.
Yes.
Any roof runoff, stormwater concerns, anything we need to pay additional, I mean, because
So there's-
obviously
there's
with
already
that slope, anything
stormwater.
that comes off that house
Yeah.
is just going, it's falling significantly further than, and I don't know, if we're not concerned, we're not concerned. but-
There's already stormwater, and I believe this portion hasn't been done, right?
Has not been.
That's part of
installed
why
as
the
well.
driveway had not been paved yet, is because they were still doing that. And then there's a retention pond down on this side.
This whole.
What's
area-
gonna go under the trailer shed?
It'll just be, pavement. He just has like a, it's like a landscaping trailer. It's an enclosed trailer, and I don't know what types of hobbies he has, but it's kind of for like a.
Like a steel building or?
No, like a
carport?
On wheels?
Yeah, it's on wheels, so it would be like a carport that with his trailer pull under, to keep snow and stuff off of it.
So he's putting a carport over there. What's he going to put that on? Footing
Gonna
wise?
go on a slab?
It'd be probably on a, it's called a trailer shed, so it would be secured into the, the ground via, whatever means necessary that we need. Meet the proper code.
Yeah, well,
I mean, at that point,
it's kind of sketchy.
I'd either say more detail, but in my opinion, I would say either take the shed or the additional driveway. I don't know about. I know it's a larger lot because of the slope and all of this, but of the developed area, there's not really going to be anything open up there.
The applicant might be on the line. Could we check if Amon?
Hi.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, hi. Yes, I am.
So can you talk about the proposed trailer shed, Amon?
Sure, yeah. It was for RV, but if that is a contention point, that is something we can definitely remove. It was just something we were trying to see if it's feasible. If it's not, then we are completely okay with removing that from the plan.
RV.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what did I
I
just
guess
say?
I guess I don't know that I have a problem with it so much as Armand, what is it? Is it just going to be attached? Just basically placed on the ground, or is there plans for like a concrete slab to be put in there, or pavement that it's going to be secured to? I'm just trying to visualize
whatever
what's
the
going
code
on there.
required. I believe there was a proposed wall, a retaining wall in the plans that I see over there, that would essentially go on the hill. But again, if this is a contention point, we are amenable to removing it. But I think the proposal was to have a retaining wall of some sort to essentially elevate it to the level of the driveway.
Did you want to have that area paved, Armin, or is it just be gravel where you're going to back this, you own this trailer, obviously, currently, correct?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it can be paved, it can be gravel. I believe I'm not sure exactly on the plans, but it might butt up to where the driveway is. If it doesn't, we can do gravel or pave it.
Oh, no,
I mean, in my opinion, I'd like to see a detail of the wall, and
yeah, we're getting.
I'd really prefer. I'm uncomfortable with the back deck until we have more details to make sure that it's compliant with building. I mean, if anything, the footprint would get reduced, but structurally, I would want his opinion in case there's going to be a bigger impact. I know it's outside of the 100, but it's still something that this commission would be approving, and God forbid anything.
Well, we're not improving the engineering. We're
Right.
improving,
But we want to know the impact, where the posts are, how deep they're going to go, because all of this was part of the design. So I think that it should be accounted for the cumulative impact of a developed site.
It's fair.
I agree.
Armin, if I could, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Armin, have you had anyone, have you ever had a contractor look at that back deck area?
Yeah, a couple of years back, we actually had a person that was going to build the deck come out and do a rough sketch and start to get quotes. It's been a few years, so I don't exactly remember, but I do remember he did quote helical piles that went pretty far down. At that point, we didn't have riprap in the back, so I'm not sure if the corner there that is of concern was as steep. I also don't think he went out 12 feet. He might have gone out 10 feet, which might have mitigated this. So I can try to pull up those previous plans and we can start from there.
Okay.
Just a little more detail would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think
That's
detail
what
on
we're
the
asking
wall,
for.
detail on the deck,
Yeah.
and then depending on the detail of the trailer shed and the wall, possible consideration of either doing the shed or the additional paved area. That's just my recommendation, but I think the detail on those two.
Runoff mitigation from the added paved area. So it's going to flow downhill, the runoff. So some type of mitigation to avoid or reroute that away, maybe like towards the street.
So this is all riprap going down, and there is some drainage coming out at a few points.
Okay,
they
have
Correct, yeah. Sorry, Lauren. The gravel driveway where there is that proposed trench drain would connect to the French drain. That is that dark gray line that follows down to the outfall. So we did get a quote last year, but it was we just had missed the permit window, so the person that was going to do the driveway couldn't do it, but he is ready this spring whenever we are approved to do so.
In theory, will that trench drain, if we approve it, carry the entire width of that asphalt surface, or is it as it's on the plan?
He proposed to slope it essentially downwards, according to that plan's perspective, downwards to the outfall, and then essentially anything that is above that would go northwards. I know it's not north, but upwards. But there isn't much that is. It's mostly sloped to the bottom of the fall.
So we're going to try to catch all of this to take it down and through here and down out through the French.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The yeah, I mean this is paramount here.
Okay.
Is this the boundary of the property?
That is the boundary of the property.
What's the setback?
That setback on the
You
side.
don't have to give it to me here, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
okay, yeah, we'll ensure that,
And is this,
Oh, that's the zoning
how
setback.
far from the road is this?
that would probably be, I'd say, I will make sure that I give
It
you
has
some
to meet
dimensions on it.
code.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
I'm
yeah.
not trying to jump.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, yep.
And, yeah, okay. Anything else? Laura, you got anything?
No. Comment.
Chris? All right.
Anybody else? All right.
Public comment, anybody? Neighborhood 101?
Regards to DAP file number 300-1036 for Reject Lane, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until March 30th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
San German in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks. It started off like it was going to be easy, didn't it? And then-
Well, the first one was easy, so.
The first one was easy.
Now I get to go watch hockey.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's right, it's on, huh?
It's on, yep.
Okay. We are now at number 11?
At number 11.
Yep, okay. Continue public hearing, notice of intent, 263 New Boston Road, applicant Five Star Realty Trust, represented by Glenn Kravosky, EBT, DP file number 300-1166, proposed project, construct a single-family house, written request for a continuation. All right?
Written request for continuation to April 3rd, and Flora, you'll have to abstain from this one.
Okay.
So you can't even go with the continuation floor, huh?
No, nothing.
Eric, you want?
With regards to DEP file number 300-1166, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until April 3rd.
Second.
You have a second?
Second.
Yep. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
San German abstains.
All right, great. We are on to notice of intent, 241, 245 Main Street application, Sturbridge Service Center, Representative David Faust, CMG Environmental, DEP file number 300-1184, proposed project, repaving of a commercial parking lot, 1186. It's another number, huh? So we get 1184 and 1186. Written request for a continue till April 24th. We having a meeting on April 24th?
We have a meeting on April 24th, that is correct. Written request to continue, and Flora cannot vote on this item.
Right.
So we may want to consider, right, looking at, because this is so old, and there's been,
Notification and re-advertisement.
well, there's
Or
that, but also looking at who, I'm not going to be here on the 24th.
Okay, so I'll take a
So
look.
you might want to look at them.
Yeah.
I've only missed a couple of meetings, so I don't
We
think
have
this one is in
a spreadsheet
question.
that Aaron had started to kind of track some of these old projects.
So if there's a conflict, he
yeah.
might want to push it out another meeting.
I will verify.
But that being said, with regards to DEP file number 300-1184, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until April 24th.
Or a date later than that?
Well, if
Now April
if I
24th.
haven't missed any meetings and I'm only missing one, then it's okay because I don't see
Yeah, I'll
I don't foresee
verify.
missing any others.
If we're
But
changing the date, I'll, if you can't miss another one and we need you for that one, I'll reach out to them prior to April 24th so we can just get the continuance even before that.
right, yeah. I mean, if
Okay.
it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I just rather we have a
Absolutely.
little bit of time. Let's plan ahead
Got it.
so it's not doesn't become an issue.
Did you make that motion?
I did.
And do I have a second?
Laura,
I'll
can-
make it. I'll make it.
All right. And Eric Gaspar in favor?
San German abstains.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right. That's it. Continue, number 13, notice of intent for 274 Big Allen Road, applicant Virginia Rossioli, DEP file number 300-1186.
And for the record, Eric has abstained. Floor, you are ineligible. Can participate in discussion, just no votes. And I did go back, I had it noted that Roy had already missed one meeting for this, which he did, just it was straight to a continuance. So, Karsten, you have already missed one, so you cannot miss another one on this hearing, and Roy cannot miss another one on this hearing. Otherwise, it becomes invalid.
I
If we
think I
cannot, both of us cannot vote today.
saw it on video. This is much more painful than being here.
You think?
If I'm abstaining from voting, can we continue the hearing?
Yes. It can be continued with the two. I got an opinion from KP Law today on that.
All right, then we're fine.
Okay. Jenny, you're up.
Me first? Okay.
So we can't vote.
I promised I'd be quick, so I'm going to be quick. Lauren was good enough to get a hold of me last Friday, tell me that you were going to be short, Roy. I did get back to her, chose not to continue it. She was good enough to put all the information online, if we can just go through that again. The one thing missing was Mark Levine's narrative that Lauren had asked him to write. Do you want to pass it out? Want me to? Just one. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
This is the contractor.
Thank you.
Narrative, you're welcome. Thank you.
And apologies for missing that on there. I do have this.
Right.
And it's in the big folder that everyone, the members have access to.
Okay, so Lauren laid out the options to me, which were either to continue this hearing because Roy was not going to be here. Mr. Gasper has recused himself, or have the project denied by default. So this has been a challenging process, well beyond what I anticipated, as a clear, simple, inexpensive project on my personal, private, revered property. Since September of 2023, we have struggled with guidelines, definitions, semantics, presentations, project clarifications, and new requests, on employee and commission member changes, external influences, and internal personality conflicts. To the positive, I know I, and I suspect others, have learned a lot. At this juncture, it's time to move on. So, I want to thank you all for your time and efforts during this lengthy project review, begun in September of 2023. I believe we've come to an impasse and will accept a Sturbridge Conservation Commission denied by default.
Well, it doesn't have to be denied by default today.
Thank you.
Given the three options, I feel that, at least for me, it's been almost 2 years. It's time to just move on.
All right. Any comments? I'd like to make a motion to accept.
So,
What's a denial by default? Don't have to vote on it, or what?
procedurally, I mean, I haven't had anyone willingly put a denial by default. Usually I'd get a request for a withdrawal, which would still have to be accepted for a withdrawal without prejudice. Because the two of you can't even close it together.
No.
The only way that it would close by default is if Roy doesn't come back. So procedurally, I'm a bit stumped. That was not the motion that I was prepared for or consulted counsel on today. So I think that we can accept the notice into the record and reach out to KP and advise on if a formal motion is needed.
Okay.
So denial by default means what? We don't have to vote on the project, but
My understanding is that it means there aren't sufficient members to vote, so it gets denied by default.
because we don't have three people?
Right, correct. I've chosen not for a continuance, not to ask for a continuance. I've chosen, what was the other one?
Not to ask for a continuance and not to ask to withdraw without
Refile?
prejudice and
Correct.
refile.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to figure out how to
Can
even
we vote?
respond to
No,
it.
we cannot vote. But you
Can we
can
actually
vote.
vote on that? No, we don't have
Because
the
we
right.
We don't have the right number of people.
I'm not sure you have to vote on that, but that
Yeah,
obviously you'll get.
I don't know that either.
yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I'll send this out to KP and
Interesting.
find out procedurally what,
Unfortunate
and we
is
might
what
have
it
to
is.
backdate
Unfortunate,
thing.
but- Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time and patience
Thank you
with
for your
this.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to learn so much.
Well, she promised she'd be quick, and she
Oh, goddamn.
held her word, so now we can go to next.
All right, we are now at documents presented for this meeting. No, we're,
You're 14.
yep, I got it. 14, continued public hearing, amend the notice of intent for 72 Paradise Lane, application Robert and Lisa Mascaro, represented by Walsh Builders, DP file number 300-1148, raise and rebuild a single-family home. Get a new job? You working for Raise Builders or what? Excuse me? Nothing. Stupid comment.
Name and address for the record for both, please.
I'm punchy
Even though we know
already.
you.
Mike Walsh, Walsh Builders,
Yeah.
72 Paradise, Sturbridge.
Mark Farrell, Green Hill Engineering.
Move them. The microphones, don't move them. Thank you.
Please don't move, Michael.
We've been told.
Moved your cheese, Mark.
That door will open.
The great and powerful Oz will come. All right. So, Mark, if you want to,
Sure.
both of you just kind of go over this.
So this is an existing plan that's been approved. I took the project on midstream. So this, I had two plans. I had this plan over here is the Jalbert approved plan. I scanned it in. And this is basically what was approved by the Conservation Commission. This plan is pretty much the same thing, just a couple of deviations from it. You want to slide this one over? The building inspector wouldn't issue a building permit for the project because the Sturbridge has a requirement that the mean building height can't be more than 35 feet above grade.
Right.
So this one exceeded that, so they worked to try to revise the height of the building, and I believe they did somewhat, but this plan addresses that 35-foot, which is how they measure it, the midpoint between the front of the building and the back of the building, which is right, on this side over here is right here. So basically, there's some additional grading and a retaining wall on this side so that the height of the building does not exceed 35 feet. And there's some additional grading on this side as well. This side here is a walkout basement, and they have windows over here. So instead of grading it with soil down here, a small retaining wall about 3 or 4 foot high is proposed right here. And that would raise the grade sufficiently so that the ridge is approximately 34 feet above grade, a foot below what's required. And additionally, on this side here, put some fill up against the building so that this midpoint right in here, again, would be about 30, the height of this peak right here would be about 34 feet above grade. So it would meet the requirement of the 35 feet maximum. Basically, as far as the impacts to the lake, the groundwater flow, as you know, kind of flows towards the lake. And it did that prior. The old house was right in this area here. And afterwards, it'll be doing the same thing. It's just this water would be kind of flowing down this way, and then it would continue on down to the lake. On this side, the same thing. The water was flowing in this direction, bypassing the house. Now there'd be a little bit of drainage coming off from the side of the house towards the side property line, and then it would continue on down. But to ensure that happens, proposing to put a grass swale, a berm along the property line so that it basically forces the water so it will continue to go down here as to not impacting the next door neighbor. So instead of having the water flow onto his property. In addition, on that side, because it's kind of close to the property line here, I propose putting some additional line of hay bales along the property line just so that during the construction, nothing would leave the site and head over to the adjacent property. And then I also propose to put another, and this, Jalbert has this whole area to be revegetated according to his plan. He had a whole planting schedule. So this little berm here would be compatible with these plantings here. It wouldn't negatively impact them, and they could continue to, do this Jalbert plan, what he specified here. In addition, on this side, I did the same thing, just raised the grade slightly so there'd be a berm. The grade here, pretty much the same thing. The water's going to go this direction, but nonetheless, just put this here, and that would ensure nothing is going to leave the property and impact the neighbor to either side.
I like that.
So it's pretty much the same as what Jalbert had, but just a little additional grading here with the berm, some supplemental erosion control for the construction, and a retaining wall here, and a little bit of grading here, and then a berm here for final grading.
My main concern with the previous project was that the flow was going to the neighbors, and since this is like an amendment, the neighbors are not notified again about the project, so they don't have the chance to review all this in a public forum. So if this new modification of the plan is preventing the flow to run off into the neighbors, I think that's an improvement.
Eric, you got anything?
Well,
Go ahead.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I didn't
so,
interrupt.
and Mark could probably answer this. My question all along has always been just to try to wrap my brain around. It's a foot. I get it. It's not. It seems insignificant, but that's a foot that's going to raise the grade and create additional velocity of any water that comes off of that slope. So what I've been trying to wrap my brain around, and maybe you can help get me there, Mark, is that foot. What is the impact on the velocity of the water coming off that hill, and is there any additional stormwater concerns or stormwater treatment that we can put into this project to address that, or is it so immaterial that I shouldn't be worried about it? I can't get anybody to give me an answer.
Well, on this side over here, I think it would actually slow the water down, because if the velocity of the water is going to be a function of the slope, and this is in essence kind of terracing the land a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So basically, it's going to slow the water down. It has a longer flow path because now, before it would be going straight to the lake. And now it's going to kind of have to go this way and then down. So it's going to lengthen the flow path and be a little bit less steep of a gradient, so it's going to slow the water down. This side actually is probably increasing it slightly, but I put a berm over here because this is going to be a little bit steeper over here because there's not much room to do grading in between the proposed house and the property line. So it's a little bit steeper gradient, but we also have
the contour of the land is going to push that towards that berm you're creating, not necessarily
Well, the
towards
proposed contours would, but the berm would keep it.
Right.
And the grade. The grade by itself, the water would come down here, and then it's going to flow, it would flow this way, but just to make sure there's going to be no problem, proposing to put a slight berm over here, so it has no choice but to go down that way.
Yeah. And the fescue does a pretty good job at slowing it down once it's vegetated in there as
Correct.
well, right? So, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you. That's all I was looking
And I don't think that this is going to be, it's probably, you kind of use the word inconsequential. I don't think it's probably not measurable, the increase of flow coming off of that. I mean, it's.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. I was less concerned about that side. I think, like Flora pointed out, my concern was for the neighbors when it came to that, but I was more concerned about, what is going to happen by raising that up, because you're going to have, but that makes sense. You're going to flatten out the grade. We're going to change the contour of where the water flow pattern's going to go, and it's going to slow it down naturally. That makes sense to me. So that's
Showing
all.
the grades going on to the abutting properties too, I think was also very beneficial to kind of lay that out. So seeing what those are going to be.
That was my question. I'm good.
Good. Okay, so this was 2 feet higher than legal, right? This building.
Excuse me?
The building was 2 feet higher than legal.
I don't know the number.
I think it was more than,
36.
the initially approved one, I think, was even higher than that, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like 40-something feet.
So what was it?
I think it was around 40.
It was 40 and it can be 36?
35.
35 now.
35.
It was approved.
So the house itself was redesigned.
So the house was redesigned, and how much did they take out with the house?
I'm sorry? Is he asking?
So he's asking how much, when they lowered the roof line on the house, how much did it come down?
It was the same pitch as the previous. As the previous house, it was more of the grading.
That's not an answer. I'm going to talk about the grading next. I want to know the structure.
I thought they redesigned the roof slightly, changed the
Said they didn't.
pitch.
Yeah.
But he's saying they did not.
Can I grab the prints? You mind?
So my understanding, I thought that they had, originally probably had a steeper pitch, and then they lowered the pitch somewhat to,
So on the.
these are the current drawings.
I have the answer.
Okay, if you can answer it.
He's the property owner.
Just, if you wouldn't mind just grabbing the microphone.
So what they're showing.
Grabbing it.
7.
Don't touch the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. I directed you improperly. My
Yes,
bad.
you want to sit? You can get a seat. No, that's
Don't
fine.
move the mic.
So, so originally when this was,
Your name and address for the record.
Bob Mascaro, 7 Monroe Road, Wellesley, Mass. When this was originally approved and we received the building permit, it was 3 stories above grade. And what we were doing on both the sides of the house, and he came in part way, so he doesn't know this. Both sides of the house and the side of the house closest to the lake, we were building up 6 to 8 feet at the lakeside.
Right.
Because it was 3 stories above. And we were doing the same on the side.
So it was my understanding, we can talk to the building department, it was my understanding our original house complied with the 35-foot height requirement because we were building up the grades. Okay, so what the house didn't meet, which I didn't find out until after we had started construction, was we took it in apparently to this new building commissioner, and he said, wait a minute, you can't have 3 full floors of living above grade, which the house had. Because we had a basement, but the basement wasn't living, but we had 3 full floors above grade. That's why we came back with this. So the house now, instead of being 3 floors above grade, and when you came out the back at the water, there was like a 4 or 5 foot area of land, and then it was going to slope down to the water, okay?
Right.
Now what we're doing is we're taking that whole thing away from the house, pulling it away from the house. All the stuff that was going to be built up comes away from the house, and now we've set the house, instead of being, so the basement of this is approximately just about the same height as the basement of the old house, except now it's a walkout instead of actually being a basement that was under the grade. Does that help?
So instead of doing 3 up, you do 2 up and 1
Yeah,
down.
so now we're going to have 2 up and a walkout basement, as opposed to 3 above. And what we've done, in essence, on the lake side, is we have lowered the grade we had at the house approximately 8 feet. Because now, instead of the grade being up and then having a full basement, the grade is lowered all the way down, pretty close to where it is existing before this whole project started, and it's become a walkout. So it's much, much closer to the original conditions on the land than the house that we had that was previously approved. And that's my understanding.
Okay, great. Good. What are you looking at?
So I was just pulling up the Mr.
Oh, I was talking to Mark. Go ahead.
Just waiting for a comment to see what.
Oh, is that what you're looking for?
I mean, I came in midstream, so I don't know the whole history. I've tried to piece it together as best I can, but what I've tried to do...
I've been here the whole time, and I don't know the whole history.
So I just tried to design something that would meet the build, that would not, by the way they measure it, would not exceed the 35-foot height requirement in the town of Sturbridge.
Okay.
And I believe that you ran these by the building inspector, and
What did he say?
He said that with if the architectural plans that he last received, if those have not changed, then this meets. If there's something that he didn't get, if anything else changed in the architecture aspect of it, then he needs to see it, but if none of that changed.
My question. Anybody else?
There was concern on the existing condition because he did say because the foundation hole's already been dug and it's been sitting in water for ongoing months, that in order to move forward, he wouldn't be able to lay a foundation where it is now. They're gonna have to dig deeper and dig wider to be able to, and then fill back to get a foundation in. So I think my question was just kind of moving forward, construction sequence wise, where we're at, what's further gonna have to be excavated and then replaced, but for temporary disturbance purposes, knowing what that's going to be. And then also still just kind of pointing out some of the existing conditions that are already on here, making sure that there's documentation of the stormwater systems. The original order required photographs being taken, so just making sure that all those steps are being done and just where we're going from here. Because obviously the site as it is now is in rough shape and it's not doing anybody any good. So what needs to be done to get this moving?
There was a point here on the water table, a confirmation of where the water table is in your comments. Is this something that can be confirmed, or how is that going to affect?
I don't know if Mark, if you're qualified to answer that, where the water table is and
Water
if they're going to be
table's high.
digging below the water table.
so basically, the water table would be down here. I mean, there's a big, massive hill that kind of is up here, and it all drains down this way. And I know that this last property over here is kind of in the swale, and the water probably runs on close to grade or on top of grade at certain times of the year. So I haven't dug any holes here because it has town sewer.
Yeah.
It's grinder pump, but I would anticipate the groundwater here be very high.
Yeah, well, we know it is, right?
Yeah, so basically, there's still enough room that they can put a drain around the foundation, and the basement floor is just set slightly above existing grade, so they can run a foundation drain, which is required in code, is to provide perimeter drain, and there's enough elevation change that you could just run it out here and let the foundation hole drain.
Where would it drain? Where would you end the foundation drain?
Right about here.
So halfway to the water?
Yeah. And it's not going to be, when you put a foundation drain in, it's going to be a 4-inch pipe, and it's not going to be like discharging tremendous.
I can go 3 doors down and see exactly what's going to happen.
Right. Well, 3 doors down, the very last house is going to have a lot more water coming out of it because
I know
that's kind of in a swale there. The topography is such that it's a steep slope, but there's also, that's kind of the low point. After that, it'll start rising to the next road, to Mount Dan Road over there. So that's probably the wettest slot over there.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, so there'll be water coming out, but it's not going to be erosive type flow that's going to erode.
I think at my point, if the commission decides to move forward tonight, my recommendation would be adding a condition of an updated construction sequence and dewatering plan. Just
Seems reasonable.
make sure this is.
I mean, I think belaboring this any further is just risking additional challenges for us. The additional accommodations are a net benefit. There's not, I mean, we can't go back and rewrite history and go back to what was originally intended and get what that is, but I think we've come up, Mark, and you've come up with a reasonable accommodation for what we need to move forward, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Just one person.
It's good with me.
Good with it? Good with it? Yep. All right. We're going to have a motion.
Anybody
in the audience like to speak to this?
Okay. With regards to the amended notice of intent for 72 Paradise Lane under DEP file number 300-1148, do you have to close this?
Yes.
I'd like to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
San Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
With regards to the amended notice of intent for 72 Paradise Lane, DEP file number 300-1148, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the conditions laid out by the agent. Specific note, if they're not already in the agenda, to put a dewatering plan and a construction sequence in place prior to restarting the construction and deliver to our agent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
San Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Stuber in favor.
Good.
Thank you.
Folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, panel.
Right, we are now 86 and 88 South Shore Drive. All right.
Hi, good evening, Karen Keegan from Allen Engineering. You did get that. I'm glad you got it. So I've colored this plan up. There are 2 changes on this plan. The proposed,
Got a highlighter there? Right there, you got a pointer?
Oh, sorry.
You can show, no, I'm slow. I need.
So the one change is the pervious paver patio. We've moved it over slightly to the left side. As you can see, it's probably like 5 foot over. And we've added stairs to the side of the building to get access to the basement. There was a bulkhead out the back here. They didn't want the bulkhead, and they just decided they wanted stairs. So we've added stairs to the back here. We've revised the septic area in the front to a Presby system. We have sent it to the Board of Health. We have not heard anything back from them, but it's what they wanted. So we've designed a Presby system for them. We have the well out in the back. That hasn't moved. We have the well, the geothermal well that's going to be here. I'm still proposing a couple of trees along the side and one in the front to be planted. Nothing else has changed on that plan. We do have storm water in the back for the roof drains, one here, one there, to be in an area here, discharging here. That's all that's new. Our last meeting, you wanted an overlay of what you had approved previously. I did submit that.
Is that on this or is that in my other file? I think it's
Not on what I sent you today. No, I had turned it in earlier, last week.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, this one, the overlay.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
by the way. That's helpful for me.
It-
Might not be helpful for others, but it is helpful
No,
for me.
this was helpful for me as well.
So the red dashed lines, these red dashed lines right here, is
zoom in a little bit.
the layout that you previously approved. And I guess there was a bump out here, which was in the 50-foot buffer, and then there was a paved area in the back. So the green is what we're proposing now with the blue stairs. You like the blue stairs? The colors kill me. And the yellow is the paved patio. So as you can see, I've moved part of this building forward, and I've moved it outside of the 50-foot buffer.
Patio's still within the 50, correct?
The helio pilings are, yes.
Oh, so those are on,
This
support.
addition right here is on those helical piles.
no, I think she's talking mostly about the impervious paver pat. Is that what you were
Pervious
discussing?
pavers, yeah.
The pervious paver patio. Is that what you were discussing? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is in the yellow. So, yeah, so it's
The
moved,
previous-
it's moved further away from the wetland area.
Yeah, and the previous, in the red dash,
Yes.
what was the construction material for that previous patio?
I
do you
want to
remember?
say it was pervious patio pavers also.
Right. Yep. I mean, I couldn't imagine approving something different than that, but.
Is there any concern with those new stairs in the side setback? Have you brought that to planning to see if there's any
That'll be
issues?
going to zoning their next meeting.
The shed that's up at the head of the property now is gone, right?
I believe it has, yes.
Will be gone.
Will be gone.
Or will be gone.
Yeah, I didn't
yes.
mean. All right.
This is helpful for me. Gives me perspective on what we're doing here.
So, I mean, the proposed building has moved a little bit to the left. As you can see, I'm further away on the right-hand side a little bit, but a little closer on this side. But it has definitely moved closer to the street in some aspect where it's not encroaching into the 50, except for those pylons.
I have to say that between the riparian buffer, the wetland, and the priority habitat, there is not much.
There is
to
not
work
much room
with.
on that lot. No, there is not.
I appreciate that things were moved
Yes.
around a little bit.
All right.
Hey guys, it's Marcy Reed. Just can't use my camera tonight, but hopefully we addressed everything that you asked for at the last meeting, and we have talked to both Ken in health and Jean in planning, and We have, Jean is okay with the stairs but couldn't do the meeting until the next time. And then Ken, as Karen said, we did put out on the plan exactly what he asked for. So when he gets an opportunity, hopefully he'll be fine with it. And we made the patio smaller, and it is pervious pavers, as you said. We made it smaller because you were concerned about that at the last meeting.
Now, I did not get a chance to read your draft that you did send me with the special conditions.
Marcy did, I believe, I think.
Yeah, we're good with it. Special conditions are fine.
All right. We can make a motion?
Comments?
Comments? All right.
Yep.
All right, then with
I asked for
regards.
comments a minute ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I missed that. Must be getting old in my young age. With regards to DEP file number 300-1220, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
With regards to the project at 8688 South Shore Drive, I'd like to make a motion to provide a waiver for an existing, for a new structure within the 50-foot buffer.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
With regards to the project at 8688 South Shore Drive, DEP file number 300-1220, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the conditions laid out in the detailed agenda and communicated to the applicant.
Second?
Discussion, any? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Thank you very much.
Oh, well, don't walk away yet. With regards to the project at 8688 South Shore Drive, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the conditions already discussed earlier, and an additional condition in the form of either bond or deposit to the town of Sturbridge in the amount of $5,000 to hold as surety for satisfactory completion of the job.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
To the Reeds, thank you for your patience. We apologize. We apologize. We didn't do anything wrong, but I have empathy for your situation. So thank you for.
I really wish you could see, my camera would work, because you'd see a big smile on my face. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your.
I know this must have been a trial, so thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you so much.
Okay, wetland decisions, 339 The Trail.
Nope, still one more hearing.
Oh,
One more
did I miss one?
continuance, 320 The Trail.
Oh, 16, I'm sorry. 16. Notice of intent, 320 The Trail. Applicant is Kim Doris, represented by Mark Levine. Ground effects, wall repair. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the continuation that was requested. We had a wildlife habitat evaluation done, which we did have done. And the report seems to basically say the project as designed was favorable to them and definitely not adverse to any wildlife, so it should have no impact that way.
As a refresher, this is the boulder, stone-ish boulder wall that's going to be replaced with boulders, with the awning, and then the stability
Do you have
post
any
for the
pictures?
for the semi-permanent dock. Yes. So that's of the temporary. That's the existing.
Is this one we were at?
Yes.
We at this one with you?
This is the one that has like the sinkholes behind the existing
The
wall.
soil's eroding behind the wall and it's collapsing.
Yep.
and visibly washing into the lake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those damn motorboats.
Let's ban them.
Well, that's where we feel the boulders will slow the impact of hitting a straight wall.
Yes. So,
All right?
And those steps will be eliminated, and there'll be natural stone steps going in, so we'll get rid of that wooden structure.
anyone need me to pull up anything else again, or everyone's memories
I
refreshed?
just wanted to make sure that I was looking at the same
Yep.
one that I thought I was looking at. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none? We have a motion to?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for DEP file number 300-1218.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 320 The Trail, I'd like to make a motion to issue a waiver for disturbance within the 25-foot no disturb.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 320 The Trail, DEP file number 300-1218, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project and with the agent's conditions outlined in the detailed agenda and communicated to the applicant.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 320 The Trail, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the previously discussed conditions and an additional condition that the applicant post a surety in form of bonded deposit to the town of Sturbridge in the amount of $3,400 to be held until completion of the job.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got the order of conditions.
Perfect. Are you gonna wanna pick that up when it's done?
Yeah, I'll pick it up.
Okay,
Yep.
it'll be sometime next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Now we're
on-
at 339 The Trail.
We already did that one, we tabled that one, so item 18, which is the request for request for certificate of compliance for 8688 South Shore Drive, DEP file number 300-1127. So at this point, I would recommend issuing the certificate of compliance, since we just issued an order of conditions for the related project.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1127.
Partial certificate of compliance,
I'd like
sorry.
to make a motion for, to issue a partial certificate of compliance. Yeah, that's it. Do we have partial, are there any perpetual conditions that I need to note as part of this, or will those be covered as
Those are
part of the
gonna be
new
covered.
application? Okay. So, yeah, I'm done with my motion.
So I second that motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Next item, item 24.
Yep. You the man? No?
So item 24, South Central Mass, NEMBA Adventure Ride for Lead Mine Trail. And just so it's noted, we have representatives for from our CR holders for both item 24 and 25 on phone as well.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well. Nate Lane, 22 Old Town Way in Fiskdale. So we did this event last year. Went extremely well. The permit that we proposed for this year was basically a copy paste. We had about 120 people show up for the event. We have a max expectation of 150, kind of capped by our OSV parking area, which they gave us for this event.
Yeah.
Virtually no change on both the Lead Mine and Riverlands properties. We're asking for usage of the marked trails specifically, which are outlined in the permit. Yeah, that's the long and short of it. I'm happy to give any more detailed information, but don't want to belabor you with the details.
No, but, any questions? No,
No,
I don't
there are
have
some
any.
comments
We've got Liz on board here. Hi, Liz.
And Todd.
Hey, how are you, everyone?
How you guys doing?
We're well. How are you this evening?
Okay.
I'm also joined by Todd Olanek, who is a district manager for properties in our central district, which encompasses all of Worcester County.
Good evening, folks.
Hi, Todd. How you doing? Hey, Lanny. Lanny, hi.
So I thought this was a great opportunity to check in with the commission. I met with Lauren this past fall and walked the trails, particularly looking at some of the wetland and stream crossing areas that we've discussed with the commission previously. And I was pleased to see that the trail route that the ride is planning skirts those areas, right? It really doesn't traverse them. But I do remain concerned that a ride like this, really highlights the property. And I think the town is very invested in the recreational potential for the property and seeing it as an economic driver for the town, which is really fantastic. But at the same time, while ride leaders won't be using the trails where there are these degraded wetland crossings, once people have been to the property, they're probably going to come back on their own, and they're going to go wherever they want, really. So what I wanted to check in with the commission about was to see what kind of timeline you've worked up with the Trails Committee for figuring out what kinds of improvements they're going to be. And I think there was even some discussion about rerouting some of the trails, and wanted to find out how that process is unfolding and just making sure that we can be part of that conversation so these really critical resources don't continue to be degraded. So that's what I wanted to check in with you about tonight. Todd, if you wanted to add anything.
For what it's worth, if there's any, I can give some input from the Trails Committee. I am an associate member. I have been for about 2 years. I'm familiar with the work that we've been doing. The work on the wet areas is what the committee has been focused on. We've had major improvements over the last year and continue to do so in the form of gravel bridge work. It's been basically our top priority to make progress on lead mines, specifically on the Seven Ridges areas.
Yeah.
That's ongoing. In context of this event, there are checks and balances with the Trails Committee to have a last-minute kind of update on the route approval and make sure that the current conditions of the trails is completely considered for this event. With that said, lead mine is and has been multi-use for some time, as far as the general usage that it gets between hiking and biking and whatnot. Quite resilient, and I think the areas that aren't resilient are the ones that we're prioritizing and continue to do so.
Okay.
So, Lauren, if I'm not mistaken, when you and I visited the property this past fall, there were 3 areas in particular that we looked at, and only one of them had been worked on yet.
You talking?
Yes, the what is it, Ravens Brook?
Yeah.
That was when we went out in the fall. That was the only area that's as far as they had gotten at that point.
Right. So there's been a note. So that's what I wanted to check in about, is because there are several other stream crossings and wetland crossings that haven't been addressed yet. So I'm trying to understand what the timeline and what the plan is to address those, because again, it's not just this one event that I want to take into consideration, because I know that you're not going to be using these trails, but it's, when people come back on their own or even, people are using the property, that's not even associated with the event. It's just trying to really understand what that process is going to be like for the town.
I don't want to speak out of turn. I think it's appropriate that the Trails Committee provides a detailed response on what our 2025 work plans are. But I will say that lead mine, in context of what was highlighted last year, continues to be at the top of our priority list, to the point where we have a separate work group that is ongoing and completely broken off from other activities that is only focusing on the mitigation that you brought to us last year. I think we'd be happy to follow up in detail. I don't personally have that detail, but it is available, and we could send that to you so you understand what's going to happen this year on the property.
Yeah, that would be terrific. And do you know if any of that includes some of the rerouting that had been mentioned previously? I don't know that it was necessarily a public forum, but
That's priority 2 after wetlands.
Okay. Yeah.
We should probably have a trails meeting. This isn't completely appropriate to what you're talking about, because we can get more specifics, and we can get Tommy and Brandon in and go over exactly where they are and what they think where they should be, and have a session like this that includes what they're talking about here is a bike event, and that's the only thing we're really locked in on here. But while I have you on the phone, I was wondering if you could tell me when you're going to finish Hammett Brook.
Liz, debts must be paid.
You and I need to go for a walk down there. I have never gone and looked for myself.
You don't have to, you can see it from your car.
Okay. Well, I'd still like to go with you. I think that would be
it's
going to come up in further projects anyway.
That's a $800,000 to $1 million project that you guys pushed on us with great result. We're going to have brook trouts going up that stream, and suckers and stuff that we need, and you'd have to have a hell of a ladder to get up the way it was left, and they said they just ran out of money. Goodbye. So that's really
we'll have that discussion.
What?
I said we'll have that discussion.
Well, we're having it, just like we have the one on the trails that you know.
This Wetland Commission work?
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand your position, and I understand, and I understand the trails position. And since the purchase of the land, it flip-flopped. I'm a hunter, so I know, how it flip-flopped. It became too much of a recreation area, and the state wants it to be a hunting area. I understand that, and we've shut it off to the back.
The southern portion.
We've done the things that would, you got to keep on them. I mean, this is something we should have a meeting and go over it with the Trails Committee as far as what they're doing and because they mean well, but they're like kids when you let them out there. So. I mean, they do mean well, and they do well, and it's really great. But we'd really like to have brook trout swimming in Hammett Brook, and that that's never going to happen. But it's wrong that we spend all that money taking down dams that were not dangerous. They were all open as it was. And going in there and spend that money and not complete the brook to the Quinnebog.
Yes, if I could chime in, I think the only comment I would make about Hammett Brook is that never is an awful long time to assume that nothing will ever get completed there. Certainly, if you could help out by lobbying Rep. Smola to maybe allocate some dedicated bond funding to get that done, that would help us out, because money is always.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of sitting down with the Trails Committee. Would that be something that we would do in conjunction with the Conservation Commission, or should we do that from that?
Yeah, we can even bring in others,
That'd be great.
Yeah. But, yes, it would be with conservation and you guys would really, I think that.
I also need to schedule the next conservation and coffee for March, so that could also be an opportunity too.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you bring Todd, Liz, I'll promote it, just to see Ed and Todd get after it.
Is there good coffee with that, or?
Yes, there was, excellent coffee.
Is there any additional information you all would like about the event proposal?
I don't, Lanny, are you still with us?
What bikes are you using?
Kind of in. I will.
The ones where I'm,
Alright.
the people are the engine.
I will point out too, so while it's the same event but different requests, so for 25, Laney had provided us with some conditions, which I know that you had the opportunity to review and respond to. I think they're reasonable. So if the commission votes to approve both of these projects, I would recommend just the same conditions apply to both for consistency. For the lead mine one, the motion would be, in addition to issuing the special use permit, also to recommend that the select board approves, because they have to approve it as well.
The same
So
we did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to call out that we didn't complete the conversation, but there was a stipulation within OPACOM's conditions that changed this year over last year, which was they wrote into their conditions that they, as OPACOM, could have sole veto power up to the day of the event to cancel the event. And that was something that I provided a response to Laney. I believe Brandon also spoke to Laney. My understanding is that is no longer part of the conditions. I think that's important to call out because Laney's original conditions as proposed, I did not feel were in line with the way we seek a permit through the, we work with the Trails Committee, bring it to the Conservation Committee, we go in front of the Select Board, we have representation from the state, we have representation from OPACOM. There's already review and kind of cancellation power within the Sturbridge Trails Committee, of which OPACOM is the CR stakeholder. I prefer we leave that as the appropriate path if we were to need to discuss a weather or event or, disruption-based cancellation.
Yeah. That makes sense. And that was a new stipulation.
That was a new stipulation this year. That was not there last year.
I think we had something in there last year. I'm just trying to pull up our letter from last year about concerns of weather events impacting and things like that. I'm sorry, as soon as I turned on my camera, my computer crashed, so I missed part of the conversation. I apologize on that, but we had something about that was saying, unforeseeable circumstances like weather that could impact the property. Our concern is just that a weather event could impact the property, and then having this big event afterwards could cause, erosion damage and things of that nature. I'm certainly happy to have it be a collective decision, because I totally understand running a event like this costs a lot of money and time and input to make that event happen, and it's really hard to reschedule. One idea could be having a rain date just as a backup in case something comes up. But certainly, I still think we would want to, as a conservation restriction holder, would want to have some input if something with weather or unforeseeable circumstances could impact the property related to the event.
We do have a final review within the Trails Committee, and Laney, I think it would, my proposal would be that that's a collective review between the committee and OPACOM, and we just, make sure you're a part of that conversation. But we do a route review shortly before to make sure all the trails are thumbs up from everyone's perspective, and then we have a checkpoint to make sure we're clear on the weather. We kind of did it within the committee last year. Would love to invite you into that this year.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
So we're okay to strike that entire section of language then, or amend it?
It's not our, right? Is it
I think
part
it's
of
just
our condition?
that section, striking that section, I believe.
That section?
So it says Opaco
reserves the right.
reserves the right to determine, so it's a,
Yeah.
we can say,
All right.
Okay. All right. So both of these need to go to select board or just one?
Just lead mine one.
Just lead mine. Okay, so that's flipped then. Okay.
Is it not just Riverlands? I'm sorry.
Riverlands is the one that says it's got to go before select
Oh.
board.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Misreading my information.
Riverlands, the select board is in charge.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with regards to the South Central Mass NEMBA Adventure Ride request to use Lead Mine Mountain Trail on Saturday, June 14th, 2025, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application with the request for 150 people in attendance. And also the conditions or comments listed by OPACUM to carry over onto this permit, reserving or striking the last bullet point on OPACUM, reserving the right to determine what constitutes the unforeseeable circumstance.
Have a second? Yeah.
Why is this the
Any
most difficult
further
motion
discussion?
tonight?
Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Saint Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Alison Stuba in favor.
Right.
With regards to the South Central Mass NEMBA Adventure Ride request to use the Riverlands Trade on Saturday, June 14th, 2025, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for this mountain bike ride with an estimate of 150 people, with the condition that the Select Board also needs to review this application and the conditions laid out by the OPACUM Land Trust, striking the very last bullet point around what determines and constitutes a unforeseeable circumstance.
Second?
Second? Yeah. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Saint Germain in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Alison Stuba in favor.
Great. Okay.
Thanks, everyone. I'm looking forward to the,
Thanks a lot.
Have a
the
good
other
event.
conversation with
Good
the Trails Committee.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
a
your
lot.
patience, and when I send that, I will pass that along to the town administrator's clerk
Okay.
to get that on their agenda, so
Okay.
you'll be notified when that's.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Can we schedule a March trail update?
Right now?
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk to Brandon and Tom first and
let's-
see when they're available?
Let's, we schedule it and it's in, in March. If they can't do it, they'll get back to us.
You want to do something, well, I guess for everyone, daytime, evening? Are you looking for the whole, like a joint meeting with both committees and
some of it.
commissions?
Yeah,
Just
joint-
representatives, so,
Joint meeting, but like you have been doing the coffee.
I prefer white wine, but
I'm just figuring why, if it's going to be a public meeting or if this is just going to be an informal meeting.
I think
So-
it'd be a public meeting. to go
Okay.
over it.
also then there's nothing.
Yeah.
So then,
So
just for
I
lead
would-
mine?
I would propose that they have their meeting with Mass Wildlife, allow them to get their ducks in a row, and then we have our joint meeting afterwards, so we know what's going. So there's some clarity on that side? Or would you rather have it first before they meet?
I'd rather have it so that everybody hears it.
Gotcha.
I agree.
Oh, so you're talking about, you don't want them to have a separate meeting?
No.
We want to have a joint
A
meeting?
joint trails
Trails
and
conservation.
conservation
With Mass
special
Wildlife,
meeting
yeah.
with Mass Wildlife.
Okay, I think that's a different ask, but
Okay.
I would agree with it. And I
Okay.
don't know that it
I don't know, what do you think, Liz?
I wouldn't advocate for that to be part of our next meeting.
Here is a great idea, because otherwise we end up going back and forth and talking to you, and then we talk to the Trails Committee, and then the Trails Committee talks to you, and then I
tell
think
us
having
this, and
everybody
then,
there is more productive.
Right. Yep.
That seems like a meaty agenda that we don't want to put into a regular meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we
No,
do either.
no, we wouldn't incorporate that into,
Separately scheduled.
not that.
Well, I mean, I need to say it.
Okay, so do we want to maybe throw out a few dates that we can then send to Trails Committee?
Yeah. Right. Let's try the latter part of March.
Liz and Todd, do you have, preferences for the end of March?
No, I'm happy to meet your schedule. I know that there are probably a lot of players involved, so
Okay.
whatever works for you guys, we'll be able to make it work.
I will say the last week of March is, if it's going to be outside of regular office hours, is going to be a challenge for me.
Yeah, Brandon can't go,
Oh, we need Brandon.
going to a funeral.
Okay. So the week of the 17th?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a meeting on the 13th. Would we want to do a meeting on the 20th if they're available? I think we proposed 2 different days at least to send
Yeah.
the trails.
I may be in Missouri, but I
Okay.
may be here, but, I mean,
So maybe we could throw out to trails, again, Liz and Todd, if this works for you, but either the Tuesday the 18th or Thursday the 20th and see which one works better for them. I think they usually meet on Thursdays.
Oh, do they?
Trails meetings
Yeah.
are usually on Thursdays.
You say Tuesday?
Tuesday the 18th or Thursday the 20th. I can throw both out and see what comes back.
Okay.
Does that work for you guys?
I could, I'm doing this Mass Audubon course on conservation action. I start at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So if we can do before that, unless if it's an hour,
Okay.
6 to 7, I can start.
We'll try and set like a time limit on it so we can just stay focused, but all right, let me throw that out and then I'll reach out to Tom and Brandon and have them run it by their committee and then just kind of get a group email and agenda together or all right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I came at 7:30 and I got this letter and it said that this case wasn't discussed.
Which one was it?
546, 548 Main Street.
They requested a continuance.
I'm sorry. You should,
It's my property. I bought the house.
Oh, did you?
back
Yeah.
In August. I don't
Yeah.
even know what this is except for a sign in front of my house.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind
it-
of falling off now for the winds we have. Couple days it's so
So next, when are they going to be?
The 13th, March 13th.
13th, and you can look on the town calendar and find out what time, if you can't find out from them.
Yeah.
no, they sent me this letter.
I would reach out to Glenn Kravosky of EBT Environmental, and he's going to be your best contact.
What is it,
They're just sitting through this whole meeting. Like,
which
if
one?
I want to
Is it the
clear,
Boston
like, some
Road or
land
what?
behind my house.
Is it wet? Is it wet?
So,
Yeah, you got to come before us. Yeah. But you got to get a logging permit or
it's
whatever.
like brush. It's not really trees.
Yeah, well,
It's some trees. I don't know. I'm just getting info now. That,
what are you going to do? You going to build there or?
No, I'm looking to. It's flat, pretty much anyway. I'm looking to plant some grass for the kids. Okay? And then the other thing is I want to plant arborvitaes all around. There's
Yeah.
probably like 200 of them. And eventually I want to put a pool behind the house.
Probably.
And you're saying,
Well, I was looking
So,
at the maps.
Grab my
looking
card
through
off
this,
of that
Yeah.
filing
and,
cabinet.
Where I would put a pool is not in the
I see what you're
100 buffer zone. Not very familiar with all of this yet.
yeah,
That's why I came here to figure out.
Yeah, so
Maybe
grab my card, and give me a call, and we can kind of figure out a plan and what's going to be required. And you can work that out with me before.
we're sorry that
we
you
get to
sat
do
there.
this.
Yeah.
If I'd known you,
I thought maybe you were one of the mountain bikers, so.
Yes, I thought that too.
So
No, I
we did-
just, I got this letter a couple weeks ago. I just came back from killing.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, could we just get your name and address for the record for the minutes?
Yeah, Carol Piast, 548 Haines Street.
Thank you.
And also the website from the Conservation Commission has the agenda posted, and like sometimes if they move a meeting or something like that, it appears
from
there.
the town servers, I think.
It's our letterhead, they send them.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
All right.
Well, hopefully you learned some new things and got some good insight today.
I'm sorry.
So I'll contact you to
Yeah.
figure out how.
Absolutely.
Because all I know is the maps they had online for you guys.
Yeah.
Yep, we can work it out.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Nice meeting you, Pat.
Nice to meet you.
What's next?
Unless there's any old business on agent update, if there's old business that anyone wants to talk first.
No.
Okay. Agent update, violations and enforcement orders. So there's a couple enforcement orders that have kind of just been in a limbo status for a couple of years. A lot of them needed a follow-up on replanting, so obviously I need to wait for spring conditions before we can go out and do those. Some of them are 2019, 2020, and then I can't find any record of any type of follow-up, so I'll just gonna go and see, but I also can't find any record of them being closed out, so I'm gonna follow up on those. There's also some open items that are kind of in limbo, including some certificate of compliance requests that were presented in between agents when you had an interim that didn't get approved, but also are still there that we need to go back and revisit. Technically, with a certificate of compliance, you do have to have some type of action on them and some type of date. So we have to go back into these. One open order, there's a project. It was a single-family home near on a gravel pit on New Boston Road. It's like in that similar area of 263 that the property is going to be changing hands, and they have an old order, not for the gravel pit, it was for the house itself, but the gravel pit license was technically never closed by the select board, and while talking about processes, you know, there is a closeout process, so I'm trying to get in touch with that property owner to just kind of get ahead on it and start getting an inspection. Heather's gonna be doing the inspection on that one with me or with us or whoever goes out for that, to provide a report.
What name does it have on it?
I forget the name that's on it. I'll have to go back on it, but it's an older one. It's in that same area.
Yeah.
So just, you know, some kind of things that are just, like I said, they're in that limbo stage that just trying to figure out where to resume on them. So there's going to be things over time that are just going to kind of be popping up again. And as those come up, I will bring them to you. For my other discussion items, as always, I'm going to try and keep this brief. But so the first thing was, we brought this up at the last meeting, but I only had 2 of you in person. The proposed plan requirements. Now, this is a general list, but the purpose of this list is to provide our applicants with some type of form, a checklist. Where am I going here? Let me open this. For what is going to be, what we should expect to see on almost every plan. This helps with consistency. This helps with going back and forth. You know, when I have to go back to that applicant and say, make sure you have your stockpile locations and, you know, these types of things on there, it gives them an expectation. I mean, this is all pretty standard up here, but delineation. So the entire parcel, not just portions of things. You know, it's, unless there's a special circumstance where it's, you know, a 100-acre parcel and they're developing 5 acres of this, but still, we should have something that's showing everything. Boundaries, the resource areas, and the flagging numbers. We've had a lot of comments on, a lot of DEP comments lately for verifying resources and having the data sheets for the delineation, which some applicants, they're required. Some they're not. It's at your discretion, but if they're not going to be required, we should specifically note it that, you know, it hasn't been verified or delineated, or if it's obvious. But, you know, remaining consistent with that, showing all of the buffer zones, also including floodplain zone and natural heritage boundaries should be on the plans too. Existing and proposed structures. we had two projects this evening that had two separate plans that had the existing and the proposed, and while it was a little bit for me to go the back and forth, it was so clear, and I really appreciated that. But we should be able to see everything, if there's a shed, if there's a tree, if there's a dock, whether or not it's being worked on, to know what's there. Obviously, we'll see it at the site visits, but not everyone's able to make it to the site visits, and it's also just noted. Any type of stormwater, septic systems, or any drainage that is on the site, which some of these older plans or older properties, if it's a house from the 1940s, 1970s, it either isn't going to have any or we're not going to know, but at least an estimate. 100-foot well radius, showing the existing and the proposed grades, because that's, we're running into a lot of issues with those things. The closest disturbance to wetlands, specifically to the buffer zone. In the NOI application, there isn't a line that says closest distance to the buffer, but then when I go and do the certificate of compliance for buffer zone projects, there's always a question that says closest proximity to the wetland. It will help me a ton if that's just standard and in there, so I don't have to get my engineering ruler out and try and go about it that way.
But you get practice, Lauren.
I've been practicing that since I was 15. I got that down. Showing the sediment and erosion control types and locations, any tree that's, coming down, or at least the limit of work if it's a new site. Showing utilities, which I know some of these projects, they don't know the utility plan until things are going, which is where we've done minor changes. Stormwater systems, roof drainage, garden swales, driveways, pitch of the driveway, because that's a huge difference as well. The one that we just did on Arnold, the pitch was, something that brought up, so it's not all driveways. Sometimes you want a certain pitch at a certain angle, so I think showing that on there, again, helps you with your decisions and me with my review. What materials are being used for pervious and impervious surfaces. Proposed locations of stockpiles, because really you should be approving a stockpile in a certain location and they shouldn't be within certain proximity of the wetlands. There might be certain areas that are clearly not suitable, and you should be able to have a good say on where they're proposing to do it and whether or not you think that's an appropriate place. For new homes, definitely showing snow removal, which I've been, asking a lot of. Existing elevations, especially for raise and rebuilds and new homes, what type of foundation is going to be on there, because that's a huge part of your change too. Whether a house is going on a slab, whether it's having a crawl space, or if it's going to be a full foundation, full basement. These are all things that should be very clear. And then, of course, showing the disturbances within our buffer zones. And I think just having this set of requirements, one, gives the engineers and designers an expectation, but like I said, it's a lot of the back and forth. I have all the time that people send me plans and I say, can you please show these things? Some of them are just me being nitpicky, and obviously every project's going to be different, but if we can have something to include in the notice of intent packet, or at least on the website, that says your plan should have all of these things. If you don't have one of these things, you have to tell us why. That's my goal with
What's the rationale for being in the buffer?
Having their narrative.
Yeah.
So part of it is a waiver in writing saying why the what alternatives were explored. So that's kind of the same thing. Is if your structure, if you're posing disturbance within the 25 or a new structure within the 50, that waiver should be clearly written and say, this is why I need this waiver, because my site is restricted, because I'm avoiding this damage, because of this. But that needs to be on them, not on us, and it shouldn't, I shouldn't be the one trying to explain to them why they need the waiver. You're going to do the disturbance, you have to demonstrate why there is no other alternative. And again, all of this helps with your decision making, with clarity. And my intention is, unless there's anything else that you specifically see that plans are lacking, that you would really like this particular thing on every single plan. My intention is, distributing this to all of our regulars that are submitting plans too. So they know going forward, like, please, when you're submitting something, go through this, make sure all these things are on here so we don't have to do all the back and forth. It saves on continuances too. Because, you know, special meetings, you know, heavier meetings, or, you know, say I'm on vacation one week and we're not able to get a full review and I miss something, at least it's there and they know that they need it. So,
Sounds good.
and, you know, stamps too are a big one too, is, I look back at what type of stamps are being done. And looking at the engineering code as well for what's required for stamps. So any questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
Like it.
I love it.
Cool.
It's good. Makes things easier.
Nice.
Like efficiency.
Me too. Makes it easier for everyone. And with the Wetland Protection Act and the bylaw, I mean zoning too, but there's so many things that there is a standard, but it's not cut and dry because every site is different. So, you know, there's challenges everywhere. And for someone that's not well versed in wetlands, there's challenges, but that's where working with us in advance helps out. We already talked about the bond, so thank you for that.
I have a comment on the bond. When I was looking at the document that you sent, I noticed that for fencing, the value is per linear foot, but for constructions, it's a fixed value. It's not based on the square footage. And I was wondering if there was any rationale for that. I don't mean on like changing it or anything like that, but I was wondering like if you have a construction that the footage.
So like
is
this
like
area
one-
right here where it says if it's less than 10 feet, then it's $500. If it's, which this is
Yeah,
where,
those retaining
when I was
walls.
looking at this related to 320, the trail today.
But then,
This
like,
is
for
weirded word, but yeah,
constructions-
1,000 plus 200.
But then like for new structure or new building, that is a fixed amount, and it will not be the same a building or a construction that is maybe like.
So maybe we
100
revisit that if it's,
per
you know,
foot or-
a new structure that's 1,000 square feet, it's this amount, and then an additional amount for every 100 or 500
It's kind of
square
like a
feet after that.
minimum, and then increase based on the
Right.
the affected area.
That makes a
because
lot
it
of
wouldn't
sense.
be the same like a shed than.
Yeah, so let me take another look at this and then I
1,000
can
square
send you an
feet
update
house.
for the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, so I'll revisit this and take a look at that.
I think another thing that has to come in is what would be the cost to remedy the situation.
And that's kind of how I'm figuring out these amounts because
I think you've done a great job at
even
it.
the way the bylaw is written, it's, while it is to help ensure closure, that can't be the primary purpose of the surety. The primary purpose of it is if you abandon your project and we have to step in and clean it up. If you're doing a raise and rebuild and say, I'm just going to use this one as an example, but say 72 Paradise, all that washed into the lake and they decided that they're not going to assume responsibility for it. I mean, we'd probably end up in court, but still, at least we'd have some money to try and get a boom or try and do some dredging or something
Pay
to
the lawyer.
kind of help. Right. So that is kind of when I'm looking at those amounts, that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
I think you're doing a good job of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking, okay, it's not going to take the same amount of money to remediate or like
Right.
do something in a small project or like a larger project.
Right.
So it has to be something related with the area.
Absolutely. Perfect. I'm continuing to strive to get those details out sooner. This one was obviously just a really big meeting and I wanted to make sure that I had everything at thorough review, but I am trying to get back on track of getting this prior to the week of the meeting, even if I have to do like what I did this time with a
the
draft.
Friday before the Thursday.
I try.
No, I never said anything because.
No, I know.
Because I think you do a great job.
That would be my preference too, because it gives you time. I mean, ideally a 1 week. If we're gonna ask applicants to have 1 week, I should be following that same rule. It's just not always feasible,
I
especially
don't
when
think a whole week
site
is
visits.
necessary, but I think
Something.
Friday
But I
to-
do, as I'm going through these projects, especially this one that we went through, all these comments that I'm having in the detailed, I'm sending them to the applicants as I'm going and saying, hey, just so you know, so you're not caught off guard, these are my questions, comments, like, if you can address this in ahead or at least be prepared with an answer. So, everyone's not caught off guard and we can just kind of keep this moving. But if there's any projects, it's like this meeting, knowing that this was going to be such a big one, I sent you guys all the files first, then I did the draft of the detailed. But if there's anything that comes up, even if you just are looking at a plan and you have a major comment or a concern or something, feel free to reach out to me because, you know, you guys are extra eyes on all of these and have perspectives that I may not, or things that I don't know, or histories that I don't look into. Because I'm also, with every review, we look into the history of other projects, like 55 Beach Ave. I looked at, you know, trees that were done and removed and things like that. So that way this is all, because when it comes to Wetland Protection Act and, you know, the bylaw, it's not, in most instances, it's the cumulative impact since the Wetland Protection Act, not just of this one particular project. The town, has resumed the contract with Ty and Bond of reviewing our stormwater. Where this left off last is Heather and our DPW director and Jean, the town planner, and I met with Ty and Bond to have a list of recommendations to bring us in compliance with the MS4 regulations, which are more strict than stormwater, really. And some of those recommendations specific to conservation. So what I was requesting was some assistance in helping give the Conservation Commission a little bit more backbone when it comes to stormwater, because technically single-family homes don't have to meet the Massachusetts stormwater standards. However, when you're having all these raise and rebuilds and major projects that are on our lake, especially ones that are already having issues, there's just certain circumstances that, you know, we want to see them, and we do request stormwater improvements with pretty much every project that we have, whether it's, you know, as simple as a rain barrel or a full-on basin, or, you know, a storm tech chamber, whatever it is. But obviously we can continue to hold up the project and continue to argue with it, but our bylaw doesn't back this. So I am looking to try and work towards getting something that would be for next annual meeting to kind of give us a little bit of stability in there. So we actually have a solid foundation of saying, no, you are doing this project, you do have to do something to improve the stormwater. The more development we're seeing and the more conditions that we're changing, there's just so many impacts, and we need to give ourselves a little bit more support in that own area. And I know that I have both Jean and Heather's support with this too, especially, you know, Heather makes comments all the time on stormwater for our lakefront properties because she sees the same impact. So that's something that we're trying to work on. DEP update, we are still in a drought. So even though we've had a lot of snow and rain, we are still in a critical drought status, waiting to see if that changes. But obviously any delineations and things, no one's delineating right now, but all these projects that we're still being aware, but just keeping you updated on that item. I did attach something in the conservation meeting document folder that I found really interesting. Lowell recently passed a ban on pesticides that, you know, because of the impact that they're having on other wildlife. So, you know, using these ingestible pesticides that are killing rats, and then the rats are being eaten by the eagles, and the eagles are being affected, or whatever predator-prey cycle is going through. That was a specific
incident of the...
Yeah, so there's currently movements through the state to try and push for a ban on anticoagulant pesticides or rodenticides. Lowell just passed its own regulation. So I sent this to, I haven't gotten feedback yet, but I sent this, you know, to some of our other department heads that just curious on their thoughts on something like this. But this is such a big thing, and I think that it was fantastic that Lowell is, you know, a city that was able to kind of take this into their own hands and said that they're not going to wait for the state to take action, that they're going to move forward. There's a lot of players into this. There's a lot of stakeholders in this. Well, I don't know if you've been following or if anyone else has been following some of these hearings that they've been having for what they're trying to push forward with the new bill. But I recommend taking a look at this, and, you know, we already have the ban within our 100-foot buffer, but just I encourage you to take a look and kind of see the impact that this is having on our wildlife. And maybe that this is something that if the town wants to get ahead of it, I don't know what this would look like as far as support from the town, because obviously something like this has to go through a process. But when you get a chance, go in and take a look at this, and I can send you more resources on that as well.
Is that something that Conservation Commission proposed, what, like the health department to the, who?
I mean, we could have expand upon our own restriction, but that's what I'd have to figure out is what it would actually go under if we, had any other
like the
support
town
department.
like
And
type
this
of
isn't
town bylaw.
And this is just the specific rodenticide. It's not all in general. So, take a look at that.
The glyphosate.
Ban Dicot in Sturbridge. General statement not pertaining to any particular case. When it's coming to...
I thought we're going to be able to know what case that we're not talking about. Go ahead.
If you guess it, I'll give you a quarter. But, so when it's coming to all the interworks of different projects, no, it's not the one that it's not going to be the one you're thinking of. And trying to communicate better with the department heads, which, as I'm establishing myself more here, I'm getting that, better relationship with everyone else internally. If there is a particular project that we suspect that whether it's an open project or just something ongoing, that we suspect that there might be a zoning violation, process-wise, we should be submitting a notification to our zoning enforcement officer, who is the building inspector, saying, hey, we suspect that this is a zoning violation. We have no jurisdiction over zoning violations. That's what our zoning enforcement officer is. We would send that to him. He would go do his investigation and then either come back and say, yes, I agree, there is a violation, and then that person would have to go through the proper channels of either planning or zoning, depending on what the issue is, or they come back and they say, no, there is no violation.
We briefly talked
The
about
process
this,
is
I
if
was confused.
we disagree that the commission says, yes, there is a zoning violation, and the zoning enforcement officer says, no, there is no violation, we can choose to escalate it and take it to court. We're just going to court, versus the town. It'd be the Conservation Commission versus the zoning enforcer. So I was just kind of trying to get a better understanding of, as far as processes going forward, what was the best way that this can be communicated? What channels do the other departments, zoning and zoning enforcement, been building? What proper channels do they want us to go through if we suspect that there's a zoning violation that affects one of our projects?
Phone and call.
This is the preferred method. So if there's any particular projects that you are really concerned that has a zoning violation, which has nothing to do with our decision, please let me know so I can send that complaint through the proper channels so it can have a proper investigation. And all in all, it's just going to help the town in general and trying not to get anything left in the dark. And again, that's not related to a specific thing. It just came up because of another project. And then the only other thing, it's something that I brought up to Ed today, is at this point in the meeting, I come to you guys with a lot. Just things that I have going on, and by 9:30, everyone's brain is just kind of smush. And we've been here a long time. So we were talking of if there's an option to, well, one, we want to try and get more consistent with site visits because everyone's schedules are different. But two, if there's an option that either every meeting or every few meetings, we can either meet a little bit earlier to try and cover all this business before the hearings, or if once a quarter we have a special meeting where we just talk about everything else and not have public hearings. So, thoughts?
But would that be an executive session then?
No.
No, it would just be a special meeting. We don't do hearings, or we just do it ahead of time. But I know everyone's, schedules are different.
No,
it's legal.
The reason we have executive sessions is because having public information on what we were going in executive session on could be detrimental to our case.
Exactly. So this would just be a special meeting, still a public meeting, you know, we can invite anyone to it, but, or anyone can join it, it'd still be a public meeting, if you want to go about that route.
Yeah.
If you want to, you know, every other meeting, maybe we just meet at 5:30 instead of 6 and move this type of business to the beginning. But
Well,
What
what
do you
would be the downside to just putting at the beginning of the agenda anyway? And I realize from a constituency services standpoint, sometimes you're gonna end up in a shitty situation where we're talking 45 minutes and the 6 o'clock hearing doesn't get picked up until 6:45. But the reality is, sometimes there's gaps, sometimes things go longer, it is what it is. So if we just started at 6 o'clock and every other meeting or every 2 meetings, you go first, and then we still schedule our things, you know, accordingly, it is what it is. Or you can build in an appropriate amount of time. Maybe we start the public hearings at 6:15, and if you go longer, oh well, you know, there's no way to address that. But especially if there's more important stuff that you need to discuss and have our full brains, lead with it, right? And then go from there, because the stuff that we pull forward tends to be, I don't want to say rubber stamp stuff, but like a certificate of compliance or whatnot. It doesn't require as much
brain activity
anyway. And if we didn't pull that stuff forward, it's not the end of the world. But generally, we're filling in because there's a 2-minute gap here, a 5-minute gap there. So why don't we just keep with the 6 o'clock, have you go first every other meeting or whatever, or if there's a weightier issue that you need to discuss that you can forecast, then just put it at the beginning of the schedule. I don't see any downside to that. I don't know that we need to adjust meeting cadences or anything like that. It's just, you know, optimizing.
shake it up every now and then.
Optimizing the schedule and see how that works.
Yeah, but I think it should be 1, maybe 2 issues. Shouldn't be a multiplicity of things. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you target one thing you want us to focus on, or 2 things maybe, but we don't want to look at 8 things.
Absolutely.
You know, no, I mean that sounds crazy, but I mean you know what I'm saying.
Well, so
'Cause
for
it
like what
can't
we
wander
just did
on.
in this last, however long I've been talking.
Yeah. How many did you do?
I don't know. Some of it was just general things. 7.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, some of it was just conversational.
What?
Some of that was just conversational and just, you know, an FYI.
No, we don't want it to be.
I
We
know.
do not want it to be. When if we're at
That's,
the,
and I don't want to do this at 9:30 at night.
Well,
So, okay.
We could even start
Thoughts?
15 minutes earlier.
If there is a month or something like that there is a lot of things like to cover,
yeah.
then if it makes sense to do, like as we were doing the executive sessions a little bit earlier, if it makes sense, I'm fine like moving it, but then otherwise I think with the timing that we have is good. It's just like moving it to the beginning of the meeting, it should be fine.
And with everybody's current schedules, 6 o'clock still good?
Yep.
Site visits?
Yeah.
I know you said Tuesdays and Thursdays you can't do now, right?
Right.
And like for me, Tuesdays and Thursdays next semester,
Now, if
I
you
won't
do
be
it
able to
in
do
the
it
first
either,
week
so.
of March, we are in India, so.
So I'm changing positions, and I'm going to have a new SVP. And my guess is he's not going to want to see me on Monday mornings, which will free up my Monday mornings. So I know those were okay when we were doing
Yeah,
them
they
before.
were, Yes, yeah.
But I was the difficult one because sometimes I would just have to meet with my SVP.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's
That's a
going to change.
perfect
That's going to
contact.
change in the next month. So I might not be able to make whatever the Monday is before the 13th. But after that, I'll be freed up on Monday mornings.
Okay. And
And
preference is still doing the site visits in that middle week, correct? Not the week of the meeting?
If it's a Monday to a Thursday, that wouldn't be bad. But other than that, you'd have to figure it out, right?
My previous commission liked doing the site inspections the week of, because everything was fresh in their head. If you did them the week before, they forgot. Which would mean with a heavy agenda, you can. But just trying to remain consistent. The week of the deadline is hard for applicants because it's, hey, you just turned in this application, also go out and survey, stake, and all this in the next 2 days.
But with your new list, they'd have it done.
Would be great. Stake it in advance, stake it when you go there. And we try to advise people too,
Yeah.
but, okay. So Mondays are good, Mondays are preferred.
Yeah, Mondays or Wednesdays are good for me, except like just because I already have scheduled things on the 3 and on the 17th. That is
The
right,
first week
you
of
can-
March,
That I can't, but otherwise I'm open.
we had a wedding in India.
Oh, yeah.
Of the
India? That's nice. Okay.
already
So
scheduled
we'll,
things. for those two.
Should we actually talk in the public or after this is gone? I wanted to know what happened with Virginia's case. I had no. The denial by default is nothing official.
Well, it's in
I
writing.
have to,
We'll find out what it is.
yeah, give me a couple days to defer to
Because I
KP,
think we
because
have,
that threw me off a little bit.
I think we have to be careful here because denial by default seems
Right.
to suggest we did something. We
Right,
didn't do anything
right.
because she wants to sue us, and we couldn't vote on anything,
Right.
Because we didn't have quorum. This is not official,
Right.
so you should actually write
That's
her.
why I said not to make any,
So you should write her a letter that either she officially withdraws or we vote on it. officially.
let me see what
you're
council
absolutely
advises
This,
to.
this is a scam.
My recommendation that, and it wasn't what I said you had to do,
It's cynical.
my recommendation was to request a continuance because Roy wasn't going to be here. Or my second recommendation, not a requirement, was to request a withdrawal without prejudice and that we, reapply and reopen. So then that also opens this up to floor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something you need to pursue and figure
So
out what you want us to do.
I'm going to take the letter that she gave us today and I'm gonna send it to town council and say we received the application, but no motion was made. What
Nothing.
do we do? How do we correct this? Because that threw me off. That was not,
No,
I consulted KP Law today.
This doesn't seem to be illegal. This just seems to
No.
be something she invented.
So
No, it might
it's
not be.
not,
I don't know. So
so Roy's not going to be signing on for the next term. So we're losing him in July. Say this had happened, this was June, and he was no longer going to be a member of this next meeting, then it's down to the two of you as being the only eligible ones. Then it would become null and void and denied by default. But because he still was going to be eligible to do the Mullins today, I don't know.
Yeah, find out.
Because that was what I had asked council is if it's just two, can it be closed? They can, confirming that they can still continue without a voting quorum. And he said, no, they can't close it. Yes, they can continue. I figured we'd just continue and discuss, but, so that threw me for a loop. I will get an answer and I will let everyone
We've
know
got
the
to
answer
act on that because
there's-
I think he's right.
Okay. Did we set an actual site visit, or we like Mondays, but do we want to wait and see what this snow does? Because there's going to be a lot now. I don't know what's going to come. My application deadline is Monday, so we'll see what comes in, but.
She can't do the 3rd.
I cannot do the 3rd.
And you
or
can't do the 3rd either.
Then-
So then why don't we do the 10th?
that sounds good.
Perfect. Okay.
Can you do it on the 10th?
I'm supposed to transfer, I think, on the 5th, so I should be able to. I'm doing 2 jobs right now, so I don't know. I'm in closeout mode of one, and I'm in open up mode of another, so I don't know. I'm coming and going.
And you guys already approved minutes, so we're good there. We already picked up the site visit. Does anyone have a board liaison report?
No.
Town meeting, April 28th.
I'm supposed to be in the lakes things, but I have no idea
They
like
don't
of
have
when
any
are the
meetings over
meetings
winter,
or
so
okay.
Their first
Okay.
meeting will likely
Yeah.
be in April.
Will I be informed of when those?
I'll make sure
happen?
you are.
Okay.
First 5 years that Eric was on, he had the lakes, and he never went to a meeting.
I think it went to 3.
And the other thing is,
They shifted their meetings to Thursdays, and I'm like, well, half of, or 3/4 of your meetings are up against a Concom meeting. I don't know what to tell you.
the only other thing before anyone adjourns is I just want to say thank you to Lisa for doing our minutes today.
Thank you.
We know she's
I
really
just thought I was at a
fantastic, so-
CPC meeting.
Yeah.
She
At
does.
least-
She
at
does
least
a
I'm
lot for
hero
the
of
town.
day.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
we're really lucky to have her.
It's one way of putting it. Well, Roy's not here. Karsten, take us home.
Oh, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Shut us down.